You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1970 1970 Chapter 437 Leaving the City 3. He was not stupid. These experts were there to create opportunities for others. There would definitely be some experts who would take the opportunity to sneak in. On the side, the great Song King laughed lightly. Why don't we send people to inspect the endless void? The great Qin King waved his hand. There's no need. It's also very dangerous to go alone. If we go too many times, the Eastern Rift Valley might let them put on a fake show. After saying this, he looked at the great Xia King and said in a deep voice, "What's going on with the Southern Origin ruins? You've been in charge of the Southern Origin ruins for so many years. Didn't you discover it before?" The great Xia King said coldly, "There was nothing unusual before. It was only after we left Suyu that people started paying attention to us. Actually, back then, I also suspected that the Eastern Origin, Western Origin, and Northern Origin all had ruins. I also wondered if the Southern Origin ruins would exist, including Lu Wenyan's intention to go to the Southern Origin. However, I never discovered it." This was hard to say. The group of unrivaled experts fell into deep thought. The great Qin King was silent for a while. He then said, "Because of Su Yu, the Southern Yuan has attracted a lot of attention. Right now, all the clans are thinking about how powerful the Southern Yuan historical remains are to allow Su Yu to easily become #1 on the heaven roll at such a young age. He killed the sun and moon and caused a huge wave. In fact, even if the city gates are sealed for half a month, Su Yu might not be dead. Perhaps there are some mysteries within. Besides, the stone sculptures have never left the city before. Perhaps it has something to do with Su Yu. After all, there are 36 ancient cities in the heavenly battlefield, and they are an incredibly powerful force. Right now, many people placed their hopes on Southern Origin. If they could get the stone sculptures out of the city, would they be able to take these 36 ancient stone sculptures under their command? If he could, that would be amazing. Even the great Qin King said solemnly, "These stone sculptures are very strong. Lad isn't weak, but he was easily defeated. Even if the other party's strength isn't as strong as mine, the difference isn't too big. He's comparable to Lao Xia and the others." The great Xia King kept a straight face and didn't say anything. "Don't use me as a comparison. 1 or 2 stone sculptures aren't comparable to a half-emperor. 3 or 5 stone sculptures might be able to rival a half-emperor." The great Qin King took a deep breath and said, "There are a total of 36 stone sculptures like this, and there are also some undead lords. The 36 ancient cities are not inferior to any of the major forces. A very powerful force had to be taken seriously." He thought for a moment and said, "Should we send someone to the Great Xia or the Great Ming Mansion to take a look? It would be best if we can meet Su Yu and talk about this. If the human race can obtain the help of the 36 ancient cities, the gods and demons will become one, and the human race and the ancient city alliance will not be afraid of the gods and demons." This was a big matter, a very big matter. The great Xia King did not hold any hope and said, "It's difficult. Moreover, is he really still alive after that attack from Lad?" Someone said in a low voice, "Summon Su Long and use his essence blood to investigate. Su Yu has already become a living dead person. Su Long's essence blood might not be able to find out his condition. It's better not to do that. If Su Yu is not dead, it will easily arouse hostility. Enmity. For him, the human race massacred an eternal, causing the Eastern Rift Valley to be surrounded. Does he, Su Yu, not remember any kindness at all?" After a few invincible experts spoke for a while, the great Qin King raised his hand and interrupted, "All right, this matter ends here." Everyone fell silent. Soon, someone said, "Qin King, on the human side, regarding the death of Yi Batian, there have already been several Sun Moon Divine One avatars. Will Qin King forget about it? The great Qin Wang was silent as he looked at these invincible figures. After a long while, he said, "Since we've spoken, let's speak more clearly. That person might be among the people here. However, if I were to ask everyone to open their seas of will and investigate for me, I don't think anyone would be willing." Everyone was silent. Indeed, if they were to open their seas of will, even a father and son would have to think twice, let alone a father and son. Even if they opened their seas of will, who knows how many sun-moon divine runes they have drawn over the years. Even if they exploded many of them, they might not know who did it. Everyone sighed again. This was also a problem, it was too difficult to investigate. The great Qin King calmly said, "So, regardless of whether that person is among us or not, I hope that there won't be a next time. Back then, when Yi Badian died, we didn't think too much about it. Now that we think about it, there are many suspicious points. We did it once, and we did it a second time. If we stop now, we might still have a chance. If we don't stop. Don't think that the human race really can't do anything to you." Silence. The great Xia King waited for a while and slowly said, "It's useless to say this. That fellow has made up his mind. Moreover, he might not be from the human race." He explained, "No one has really seen his real body. Maybe it's just a trick to deliberately let the human race fight among themselves. I've thought about this before. I even suspected someone, but after staring at him for many years, I didn't find anything wrong with him." A certain someone was naturally talking about the great Zhou King who was sitting on the first seat on the right. Many people looked at the great Zhou King. The great Zhou King did not care. He continued to study the cup in front of him. If he did not pay attention, it would be as if he did not even exist. This number one person in the exploration realm seemed to be frighteningly low-key at this moment. The great Qin King did not say anything and quickly said, "Old Zhou, are Pelong and the others cultivating the Tao of multiple divine inscriptions?" When he said this, many people looked at the great Zhou King. Only the great Qin King would ask such a direct question. The great Zhou King was silent for a while before shaking his head, "No." The great Qin King nodded and did not ask any more questions. If he said no, then he was not. Thinking of this, he looked around and said, "I know that some people have secretly nurtured many geniuses. Many divine languages experts have fought in some small worlds. Their talents are not bad, and their strength is not bad either. They have even become an overlord in a small world, sweeping across the entire generation." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1971. 1971 Chapter 437 Leaving the City 4. No one said anything. The great Qin King said again, "But can these people really be relied on? Can they become the key to opening the barrier? We control the small worlds, and the human race is the overlord. Just because everyone gives us face doesn't mean that we're truly powerful. In my opinion, we'll have to drag these people out sooner or later. They've always been roaming the small worlds, and there are limits to their future. Those small worlds don't even have eternity, and it's not a good thing to sit in a well and look at the sky. The small worlds controlled by humans were usually limited to the sun and moon. Even the invincible ones would not go. Such small worlds might be able to produce geniuses, but if they did not leave and continued to roam the small worlds, in the eyes of the great Qin King, their horizons would not be high enough. Just take a look and you will know. In the heavenly battlefield, the sun and moon rampaged, and the invincible ones could be seen everywhere. For example, Su Yu had seen countless invincible battles. In the eyes of Su Yu and the others, the sun and the moon were strong, but they were not overlords. Invincibility was overlords, but they could not run amok in all the worlds. Even a half-emperor did not mean that he was invincible in all the worlds. In the small worlds, the sun and the moon might be the overlords and the forefathers. Killing a mountain and sea might shake the small worlds. And in the heavenly battlefield, killing a mountain and sea would not cause any waves. It was a matter of vision. The geniuses of the small worlds might be aiming for the mountains and seas, the sun and moon, and the geniuses on the heaven hunting list all aimed to attain immortality. The great Qin king knew some things, but of course, he did not care. This was also an attempt. Actually, it was a good thing. At the very least, it would leave more hope for the human race. However, he didn't support staying in the small world. The danger of the small world wasn't even comparable to the human realm. Only after the human realm swept through the small world did the small world exist. There weren't any overly powerful enemies. The geniuses of the human realm still had to walk out. Moreover, those people had to walk out to see the world. Amongst the crowd, Invincible nodded slightly. Yes, we have to walk out. If we don't walk out, our knowledge is too little. Even though we didn't have much knowledge in the past, we only walked further after experiencing the great war of the heavens, becoming eternal. Now that the human realm is in turmoil, why don't we let some people return to the human realm so that they can strengthen their sense of belonging? Since young, they haven't lived in the human realm. To them, the human realm might be very unfamiliar. Soon, some people from the 10,000 clans will sneak in. It's also a good opportunity for them to see the strength of the 10,000 clans and the strength of some geniuses. Also, the cosmic mansion will be opened soon. The human race's quota hasn't been determined yet. Why don't we let these people fight for some quotas? It would be a great pity if they don't enter the cosmic mansion. Everyone spoke one after another. Some were not nurtured, and some were secretly nurtured. However, it was still necessary to let some geniuses from the small worlds walk out. At this moment, the great Han King smiled and said, "It's not a problem for them to come out. I'm just afraid that once they come out, they will be easily swept away. That would be ugly. Your great Han mansion didn't nurture them." The great Han King smiled faintly and said, "There are some, but, to be honest, I felt that it wasn't bad before, but now I feel that it's still a little lacking. It's lacking a little something. Sigh, if we talk about the more divine languages, the great Xia mansion's line has more hope." What a pity. The great Han King shook his head. It was indeed a pity. The great Xia family's branch was being watched too closely by others. Very quickly, Invincible said, "Great Xia King, the many divine languages department's divine language battle technique steel, is it on Su Yu's body or on Chen Yong's body? Without this divine language battle technique steel, lacking some powerful divine language battle techniques." The great Xia King said indifferently, "Go and ask. I don't know. After Yi Beishan's death, I won't care about this anymore." Some people frowned and couldn't say anything else. However, it had to be said that without that divine literature battle technique steel, the divine literature battle technique steels of the other great manners were inferior by a level. Moreover, there were limited divine literature battle techniques to choose from. Once the later generations were unable to continue imprinting divine literature battle techniques, the inheritance would be completely cut off. Since the great Xia King didn't care about this, they couldn't say anything else. The great Qin King didn't care about this and said, "Then that's it. I don't want to say anything else. Everyone, cultivate near the East Rift Valley for the time being, in case the gods and demons find an opportunity. As for the immortals, ignore them for the time being. The great Ming King is still in the human realm. Should we summon him back? No need. It's a good thing that there's an eternal guardian in the human realm, in case there's chaos and we can't suppress him in time. Xia Longwu is still in the heavenly battlefield. Is the Emperor of the Great Xia about to attain the Tao?" The invincible cultivators continued to speak, but the Emperor of the Great Xia couldn't be bothered with them. He stood up and said, "It depends on the opportunity to attain the Tao. It's up to everyone whether they want to protect him or not. If they really fail, then they'll fail. After saying this, he had already disappeared from where he stood. Someone laughed and said, "Old Xia is still as bad-tempered as ever." He didn't say that he wouldn't protect the Tao for Xiaolongwu. The great Qin king didn't say much and his figure disappeared. The moment he left, someone looked at the great Zhou king and asked, "Old Zhou, what are the plans of Pelong and Patian this time?" The great Zhou king raised his head. His gaze was incomparably deep as he laughed lightly and said, "Look at them. Attaining the Tao isn't something that can be forced. Pelong has already captured 3 incarnations, and Patian hasn't. He might not be able to catch this opportunity." The few of them did not say anything else. Instead, someone laughed and said, "The son of the great Ming king can't do it. Instead, there is a Niu Bai Dao. Perhaps this time, he will follow along to attain Tao." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1972. 1972 Chapter 437 Leaving the City 5. That's not something we have to worry about. The invincible races dispersed one after another. The great Zhou king smiled and disappeared from where he stood in an instant. Time passed day by day. The heavens were silent. The myriad realms were also silent. However, everyone knew that undercurrents were surging. The death of the dragon silkworm had also allowed some small races to become invincible and quickly connect together in secret. Even smaller races, such as the Thousand Region Alliance, did not have invincible existences. Now, a large number of 9th-level Sun and Moon experts were discussing whether or not they should find an opportunity to attain Tao. How to attain Tao? Of course, it would be a great battle between the powerful clans. When no one cared about it, they would attain Tao. For example, when Xia Long attained Tao, the invincible clans of humans, gods, demons, and immortals would pester him endlessly. At this time, it would be an opportunity for the small clans. It wasn't that no small clans could attain Tao. There were, but they didn't dare to. The powerful clans actually had some suppression on the small clans. They didn't give them the opportunity to attain Tao. In the past, it wasn't that there were no small clans that could attain Tao with the Sun and Moon. Most likely, they would fail. The most important thing was that one wouldn't be able to find the reason. Even if one attained Tao in a small world, there was a very high probability of failure. Some of the more ambitious ones had less than 10% chance of attaining Tao in the heavenly battlefield. In these past few years, there were too few people who had successfully attained Tao. It wasn't that there was no hope, but that they had been deliberately framed. The large clans controlled 10,000 worlds. Who wished for an overlord to appear in the small world that they controlled? Everyone knew in their hearts that this chaos in the heavens might also be their chance. In the ancient city. 5 days later, Suyu completed 54 casts. 12 days later, he completed 55 casts. 20 days later, he completed 56 casts. At this moment, the news that Suyu was not dead had also spread slightly. The reason why they were certain that he was not dead was too simple. The 2 suns and moons of the Dark Clan and the Ape Clan still could not come out. They were on the verge of crying. They had no choice but to switch. Don't hold any hope. They had lost so many invincible 3 incarnations here, yet they still hoped that the invincible one would save them. Don't even think about it. These 2, one was at the 8th level of the Sun and Moon, and the other was at the 7th level of the Sun and Moon. After Suyu continued to seal the city for 7 days, they chose to switch. On the 10th day of Suyu's closed-door cultivation, they successfully switched. Only then did Suyu open the city gates. From start to finish, Suyu had sealed the city for nearly a month. This time, when the city gates were opened, no one came. Even though the Xingyu residence was in turmoil and many good things had appeared recently, everyone was only active in the vicinity of Tianxia Island. No one came to the ancient city anymore. This godforsaken place was too terrifying. And this time, the ancient city had 12 more sun and moon residents. Originally, there were still a few sun and moon residents in the ancient city, but the number was very small. But this time, there were 12 more. There were also 2 late-stage sun and moon residents. All of a sudden, the number of sun and moon residents in the ancient city had reached as many as 15. Of the 36 ancient cities, Suyu's side was probably the one with the most sun and moon. As news spread, the city lords of the various ancient cities all wanted to use this move. The city lords all knew the situation. With more sun and moon and more residents, they could help them bear some pressure. However, if the sun and moon weren't desperate, who would come to the ancient city to become residents? Now, Suyu had opened up a path for them, or rather, a dead end. Firstly, sealing the city would result in a backlash. Secondly, after sealing the city, wouldn't they be afraid of invincible attacking? Although the ancient city of Hongshi had intimidated some invincible experts, that was the ancient city of Hongshi. It didn't mean that the other ancient cities would be the same. Under such a situation where no one dared to come, it was already the end of September. Suyu had also officially come out of seclusion. 57 casting. He wasn't able to complete 58 casting. He was just a little bit away from completing it. He came out of seclusion to meet up with the people from the heaven hunting pavilion. As for his strength, Suyu was so strong that even he was afraid. The strength of his body's acupuncture points had broken through 400,000 points. Was he afraid? The strength of 400,000 acupuncture points might not be as strong as the sun and moon god, but it was much stronger than some small clans like the sun and moon first stage. With his body at this level, Suyu was even considering whether he should consume the blood essence of the sun and moon fourth stage. In this way, he might be able to unleash the strength of the middle stage of the sun and moon. It had only been 4 months since he left the Daming Mansion in May. This time, he would return to the human realm and hibernate for a period of time to lay a good foundation. Perhaps he would be stronger. At that time, he would naturally take revenge. On September 28, Suyu was like a ghost. He put on the white mask and left the ancient city under the night sky. He floated in the sea of stars and left the ancient city of Xinghong. After he left, the stone sculpture opened its eyes and sighed. He was a good city lord, but he insisted on running away. He didn't know if he could come back. If he couldn't come back, it would be hard for him to find the next city lord. Even if he did find him, he wouldn't be as awesome as Suyu. He was already a living dead person. He didn't know what he was doing all day long. Suyu naturally wouldn't care about all of this. He was going back. When he came out, he couldn't even fight a mountain and sea realm one Dan. If he went back, he could even kill the sun and moon. This time, when he went back, some fellows would dare to be arrogant with him again. He would kill every single one of them, leaving no one alive. Speaking of which, could he kill his grandmaster now? How weak. Suyu felt helpless in his heart. He finally understood Hong Tan's hardships. He was too weak. No wonder he couldn't hold on to the fundamentals. At the same time. Human realm. Great Xia Manor. Hong Tan rubbed his nose. He kept feeling that someone was scolding him. Forget it, I can't feel it either. I don't know if there are too many people scolding me in the city. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1973. 1973 Chapter 438, Transmission Boundary 1. Heaven Destruction Ancient City. At the city gate. Suyu was filled with emotions. I'm back. Here, I've opened the peak of my life, opened the climax of my life, killed the sun and moon, slaughtered the dead spirits, and fought against the 10,000 races in the heavens, thinking about it, it's been more than 2 months. Time flies. It's been so long, and I'm back again. Su Yu was so proud of himself. However, he had to admit that being able to deceive the Celestials and do something big in the ancient city of Hong Star had a lot to do with the ancient city of destruction. Here, he learned the breathing technique, which was why he deceived the Celestials and demons. Otherwise, without the breathing technique, it would have been a bit difficult to deceive people. Here, he learned the method of reversing the dead souls. Otherwise, he would not have lived until now. Here, he did not obtain as many treasures as he did in the ancient city of Xinghong. However, this was the starting point of his dream. It turned out that the sun and moon could be killed as well. When he returned, he was filled with endless emotions. Feeling emotional, Su Yu did not walk through the main door. Instead, he stepped into the side door. On the city wall, the general of the Heaven's Gate glanced at him. He did not pay much attention to it. Over the past 2 days, people from the Heaven Hunting Pavilion had been rushing over. He could not be bothered to care about these things. At this moment, in the back hall of the City Lord's mansion, the Heavenly Destruction stone statue suddenly opened its eyes. It looked at Su Yu. Invincible might not be able to notice this in an instant, and Invincible did not always look at anyone. However, when a certain person entered, the aura of death was thick. This was a city lord. When he opened his eyes, as expected, it was that human kid. It was said that Xing Hong had actually fought his way out of the sacred city. Fought his way out of the sacred city. This must have something to do with this kid, right? He looked carefully at Su Yu. The stone sculpture's gaze wasn't too friendly. He took my things and caused me trouble. Then, he switched residence and ran to Xing Hong's house to switch. Do you still have the qualifications to be a human? You gave me the bad, but you gave Xing Hong the good. I passed down your breathing technique, vibration technique, and even gave you 3 shuttle talismans in vain. Although this inheritance seemed to have been learned by someone on their own. However, that was also taught by me. Heaven Extinguisher ate some lemons and quickly comforted himself. It was fine. It didn't matter if this kind of disaster wasn't in Heaven Extinguisher City. He was always stirring up trouble. This time, if he dared to stir up trouble in his own city, he would pour all the deathly aura in the city into him. I told you to cause trouble. Speaking of which, with this, he should be able to leave the passageway and go out for a walk, right? Looking at Tianhe in the front hall, he felt a little disgusted. In the past, he thought that the city lord was still alright. But now, he was really useless. I think that even if Su Yu left the ancient city, he would still bear a lot of death chi for the ancient city. What about you? Useless fellow. Tianhe instantly closed his eyes. It was better to be out of sight than out of mind. Forget it, I don't care anymore. This brat, you better not cause trouble for me in the city. Let me tell you, if you cause trouble this time, I will lock you up for 3 years to absorb the aura of death for me. This is in accordance with the rules. It's just that I have never done this before. Heaven's Destruction thought. Su Yu, who had just entered the city, naturally did not know all of this. He also did not know that the moment he arrived, he was like a shining star in the night sky. He was immediately noticed. He was wearing a mask, and like a ghost, he disappeared in a flash. This was the layout of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion's people were walking and stopping on the streets. What did this look like? We are playing the mysterious game. It is unpredictable. His figure flashed, and then flashed, there were people flashing beside him, and they were also from the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Su Yu turned his head to look, and the other party also turned to look at him. Since they were all wearing masks, it would be best if they did not start a fight. Otherwise, the Heaven Hunter Pavilion would find fault with them. Yuan, what kind of mask is this? Su Yu was slightly taken aback. Regardless of whether it was a white mask or a black mask, they were all wearing facial features. Yet, the other party's mask did not have any facial features. It was just like a piece of white paper. In the next moment, he suddenly thought of something. Elder. Su Yu's heart jolted. This was an elder from the Heaven Hunter Pavilion, a powerful figure. Above the 7th level of the Sun-Moon realm. I only managed to kill a few of them, not even 20 of them. This is an elder-level expert. Which elder? Even though he wasn't sure, Su Yu quickly cupped his hands and disappeared without a word. The other party also appeared beside Su Yu once more. This time, Su Yu looked at the faceless elder, and the other party looked at Su Yu as well. Su Yu finally understood. That's right, F*CK, we're all going to the Heaven Hunting Pavilion branch, so we're going the same way. Which division is the white-armored elder? The elder finally spoke. His voice was hoarse and a little low. The Black Division's white-armored elder. The Black Division. The elder was slightly startled. Is it Xianzhou? Silence. Su Yu was stunned. You, the black-armored elder. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yu's speed soared and he instantly disappeared from where he was standing. Damn, he was his immediate superior. This was not the main point. The main point was that this fellow knew him. In the myriad of worlds, other than the stone statue, this person probably knew his identity. He was above the 7th level of the Sun-Moon realm. Be careful and stay away from him. Danger. This was the black-armored elder. He knew me, and he knew that I was rich. He knew that I was extremely rich. He had to be careful. If he was suddenly killed in an instant, even the stone statue would not be able to save him. At this moment, a jade talisman appeared in Su Yu's hand. It was one of the 3 jade talismans that the stone statue had given him. Su Yu was thousands of meters away from the black armor. He was extremely vigilant. As for the black armor, he was also speechless. Did I run into a demon when I was out? I ran into this fellow when I was out. The crux of the matter was this your attitude towards elders and your immediate superior? Xianzhou. Faceless black armor growled, come here, what a disgrace. You are my immediate subordinate, why are you running away? Su Yu didn't dare to approach and quickly asked through the mask, Elder, is that you opposite me? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1974. 1974 Chapter 438 Transmission Border Request Subscription, 2. It's me. Why are you running? If someone sees you, they'll misunderstand. Elder, is it really you? Nonsense. Then will you attack me? No. Elder, I have a very good relationship with the stone sculpture boss of Heaven Destruction City. It's true. My breathing technique, vibration technique, and those shuttle talismans were all given to me by him. If you attack me here, Elder, you're dead. Shut up. Xian Jia's tone was unfriendly. Why did he think that everyone was so evil? When did I say that I wanted to kill you? Speaking of which, Xian Jia asked, have you hidden those resources well? Be careful that the gods and demons will sense them. Su Yu silently looked at the faceless elder opposite him. Xian Jia, on the other hand, did not care too much. I care about you a little. As my subordinate, White Mask, of course I have to care about you. After a moment, Su Yu held 3 jade talismans and took them out. He aimed them at the back of the black armor and stood behind him. He lowered his eyebrows and said telepathically, Elder, you've only just arrived? I've been here for a few days. Also, can you take those things away from me? The black armor was speechless. He felt threatened. What was this thing? A divine talisman? Was it given to him by a stone statue? This thing seemed to be quite powerful. The two of them kept flashing in the ancient city. After a while, the black armor said telepathically, "Are you really going to the human realm?" "Yes. You've been away for a long time. Will you be okay?" "I'm fine. The boss of the stone statue told me that if anything happens, I can tear open the void and be taken away." Xian Jia said calmly, "Even a half-emperor can't tear open the void and charge into the small world from the heavenly battlefield. That stone sculpture might be strong, but it hasn't reached the half-emperor realm. Elder, a half-emperor is only a title of respect. It doesn't represent one's realm." Su Yu was speechless. What did he know? What did he know? A half-emperor was a title of respect. The bosses of the aboriginals were all half-emperors, not realms. The black-armored man sneered, "That's ancient history. Nowadays, the so-called half-emperors represent battle prowess. Half-emperor is a title of respect as well as battle prowess. Some of the clan leaders of the ancient race rarely call themselves emperors before they reach that level of strength. Nowadays, the publicly acknowledged half-emperors represent the invincible half-emperors. Many years ago, the title of half-emperor was a title of respect. The leaders of the ancient race were all considered half-emperors. The leader of a human clan was an emperor. It meant that he was half a level lower. However, that was no longer the case today. Without powerful combat strength, one was not qualified to be called a half-emperor. Su Yu was surprised. Was that so? He did not really understand. In any case, whether he was a half-emperor or invincible, in his eyes, there was no difference. They were all people who could kill him with a slap. He was very nervous now. Meeting someone who knew his identity, he actually felt a little guilty. He felt so guilty that he wanted to kill Xian Jia. The two of them flashed for a long time. Soon, the heaven-hunting pavilion branch was right in front of them. Xian Jia said telepathically, "Don't talk nonsense. You will lose if you say too much. Do you understand? Don't worry about anything. You are Xian Jiu now. There is very little understanding between heaven-hunting members." "Understood." As he said that, Su Yu quickly said, "Elder, there are 10 black-masked men under my command. Is anyone coming this time?" "No." Su Yu didn't say anything else. It seemed that his black faces couldn't do it. "Elder, then can I develop my own black faces?" "Yes, when your black faces are dead, you can apply for a black mask from the headquarters. That will be enough." "Understood." Su Yu understood. It seemed like it was time to kill my black faces and develop my own power. The two of them disappeared in a flash and instantly appeared at the entrance of the heaven-hunting pavilion. At the entrance, a white mask was waiting. When he saw the faceless elder, he instantly bowed and said, "Please, elder." "The elders are already waiting on the 3rd floor." After saying that, he looked at Su Yu and said, "This white mask brother, meet me on the 2nd floor." The 3rd floor was for the elders, and the 2nd floor was for the white mask. As for the black mask and the gray mask, Su Yu didn't know the situation. He didn't see them, and he didn't see them on the 1st floor either. It was possible that the meeting place was different. The white-masked men were considered higher-ups, while the black-masked men were slightly lower. The white-masked men were mostly of the mountain and sea realm. For example, Xian Jiu from before, who was at the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm, wasn't weak at all. On the surface, such an expert would be considered an expert. As for the black-masked men, they were mostly Ling Yun. The colorful masked men had the ability to soar into the sky, while the gray-masked men had the ability to soar into the sky. Almost all of them had the ability to soar into the sky. This was also a type of menial job. Su Yu did not say much and quickly followed the black armor upstairs. The black armor went straight to the 3rd floor, while Su Yu stopped on the 2nd floor. At this moment, there were 30 to 40 white masks gathered in a small hall on the second floor. This time, the white mask sent out 80 people, so there was only about half of this place. When Suyu arrived, he was also dazzled by what he saw. Damn it! It was all the same. It was almost impossible to investigate clearly. The feeling was the same. There were white masks and white clothes. Of course, there were some people who wore other colors, but they all looked the same. To be honest, if they were put together, they would not recognize each other. Everyone's breathing was very hazy. Under such circumstances, it was very difficult to distinguish each other. When Suyu arrived, there were also many white faces looking at him. Most of these white faces were standing, and a small number were sitting. When they saw him, a white face said in a cold voice, "Tell me your family. Which department are you from, and what's your number?" Bang! The answer given to him was a big fist. Suyu sent one of the white faces flying with a punch, and the surrounding white faces instantly dispersed. Of course, there was no surprise. As for Suyu, he was not surprised either. Just now, before Xian Jia went upstairs, he had sent him a message. White masked men were also living beings. Where there were people, there would be Jianghu. Seniority was very important. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1975. 1975 Chapter 438 Transmission Entry Realm 3. This time, only 12 elders were going. The human realm was so big, and some of the white-masked men would be in charge of a manor. Now was the time to fight for it. Suyu sent the white-masked man flying with a punch and sneered, "Xian Division, Xian Jiu." As soon as he said this, many of the white-masked men were in an uproar. Xian Jiu, who is stationed in the ancient city of Xinghong. Someone recognized him and Suyu said coldly, "Is he from the Huang Department or the Earth Department?" The Huang Department was responsible for exchanging information and knew that he was normal there. The Earth Department was responsible for transporting supplies and perhaps they had interacted with each other before. Huang San from the Huang Department. This person had a high rank. It seemed that he was an important figure in the Huang Department. Of course, it was hard to say. The number did not mean everything. Suyu did not mind. "Anyway, I remember you now. Later, when everyone is together, they might not remember you." He glanced at the hall and saw that there were 24 chairs. Suyu smiled. What did he mean? He had already said that the human realm had 36 manors, no, 38 manors. Of course, there were the heavenly manors and dual saint manors among them. No one had considered them as official manors. Now, out of the 12 elders, 24 chairs had been left behind. Everyone wasn't a fool, they more or less understood what he meant. Suyu glanced at the hall, but it wasn't full. He glanced around the hall. Including him, there were a total of 42 people. Now, only 16 chairs were filled, and there were 8 empty chairs. Was there a trap? He didn't think about it. In Ancient City, he wasn't afraid of such things. Suyu couldn't be bothered to waste his breath. He directly found a chair and sat down. No one said anything. They were all smart people, and apart from not knowing their own limits, they all knew whether they should sit or not. Those below the 7th layer of the mountain and sea realm couldn't sit anymore. If they did, they would have to get up later, or else they would be sent flying. The white-faced man who had been smashed by Suyu had also blended into the crowd. He kept a low profile and didn't even mention what had just happened. In this world, the weak had no human rights. They were all white-faced men. If you asked them, they would give you a punch. It meant that you didn't have the right to ask. There was nothing to say. Suyu continued to remain silent. He sat down. Out of the 24 chairs, 17 were occupied by others, and there were 7 more. As for Su Yu, there were also some people who paid attention to him. He was an expert stationed in ancient city. And he was the white-masked man stationed in ancient city of Xinghong. He wasn't an ordinary person, and his strength wasn't weak. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. The one who had been sent flying by his punch was at the 6th level of the mountain and sea realm, and was at least at the 7th level of the mountain and sea realm. Su Yu sat down for a while. Gradually, a few more white-masked men arrived. Some of them sat down without saying a word. Some scanned the room and made a judgment. They were not in a hurry to sit down. Instead, they were talking to some familiar white-masked men. In the hall, there were 50 people, 60 people. When the number of people reached 80, the seats were completely filled. 24 seats, not a single one was empty. And the number of people had also reached. Su Yu had been waiting for the remaining 56 white-masked men to provoke and snatch. In the end, it proved that he was thinking too much. These people actually did not come to snatch. It was really strange, they were so self-aware. As he was thinking, suddenly, a group of people went upstairs. This group of people was somewhat different. There were 4 types of masks: white mask, black mask, color mask, and gray mask. However, they were different from the usual ones. Each mask had a golden pattern on it. Su Yu thought about it and his heart skipped a beat. F***CK. It was a little familiar. The Bai that he had met before was this type of mask. This was an organization that was directly under the 4 department heads. They didn't say that these people were coming. As for the white-masked leader, the moment he opened his mouth, Su Yu was even more shocked. I'm Bai, the law enforcer of the Sky Division. Bai. Damn it, I know you. You owe me a lot of money. Su Yu was surprised that he had actually met someone he knew. This fellow had sold quite a bit of information back in ancient Starred City. That's not right. This fellow had interacted with the previous Xianjiu, so he wouldn't recognize him, right? Su Yu quickly communicated with the other party using the mask. Elder, Bai is here. He has met my predecessor in the ancient city of Xinghong, right? What should we do? Ignore him. Bai is fickle. Yesterday, he called you father. Today, he killed your mother. It's normal. This reply left Su Yu dumbstruck. He had nothing to say. As for Bai, he simply said, out of the 4 law enforcers, 5 are from the 1st Division. We are all white mask level 1. There are exactly 20 of us. Including the 80 of you, there are a total of 100 of us. There are 38 manors in the human realm. The Heavens Mansion and the 2 Saint Manors don't need to worry about them. As for the remaining 36 manors, there are 12 elders in charge of 12 manors. The remaining 24 manors will depend on all of you. Bai said calmly, however, it is impossible to be in charge of the information transmission, transaction, rescue, assassination, and protection without great strength. It's the same as in the battlefield of the heavens. What we do here, what we do in the human realm. The elders and the white-masked men who guard a prefecture can be considered of the same level. They don't need to report to each other. They will directly transmit information to the law enforcers, and the law enforcers will report to them. As Bai spoke, he looked at the 24 white-masked men on the seats. You know what these chairs represent, but if you don't have the power to sit on them, you're courting death. Human realm isn't a small world. It's a super great world. It's a great world with dozens of invincible cultivators and thousands of sun and moon cultivators. If you can't beat the sun and moon, then it's best for you to take the initiative and leave. He looked around. Some of these white faces were in the sun and moon realm, and those who weren't even in the 7th level of the sun and moon realm could be considered white faces. Of course, there were also some who hadn't reached the sun and moon realm. Because of the white faces, he couldn't see too clearly, but he could still determine the strength of their auras. Bai Yi glanced at Su Yu and the others. Soon, he looked at Su Yu and the other white masks. Without saying anything, he reached out and grabbed them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1976. 1976 Chapter 438 Transmission Boundary 4. Su Yu was not the only one. A total of 8 white-masked warriors were facing his palm. All of them had not reached the Sun-Moon realm. In other words, there were 16 people who had reached the Sun-Moon realm, including 12 elders and 28 Sun-Moon realm. Among the law enforcers, there were probably also some Sun-Moon realm warriors. This time, the 4 divisions of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion had also made a big move, gathering the experts of each division. They were all elites. Faced with this palm, some people instantly disappeared, some burst out with divine runes, and some growled. As for Su Yu, he calmly threw out a punch. A loud boom. The other Sun-Moon realm warriors had already blocked their surroundings. Bai Yi's palm struck down, sending 2 of them flying, and 2 of them disappeared. As for the remaining 4, some people's blood flowed from their masks, and some people were as still as mountains. Su Yu was one of the immovable as a mountain. With a punch, he knew that Bai Yi had definitely not used his full strength. In other words, it was just a test. With a single palm strike, he probably did not even have the lethality of a first-level Sun-Moon. Bai Yi was in the 6th-level Sun-Moon realm. Those 2 who have flown away can enter the other white-masked teams by themselves. Bai Yi quietly withdrew his palm. His palm was still slightly aching. Su Yu had not used his full strength, but with a punch, he had at least erupted with the strength of 200,000 apertures. His fist was sharp, causing Bai Yi to feel a slight pain. Bai Yi did not care too much. The 2 who were sent flying by him did not say much. Soon, they entered the other white-masked team. The 2 who had disappeared reappeared. Bai Yi nodded slightly. They had some tricks up their sleeves. Disappearing and escaping were also abilities. Bai Yi quickly said, "Is there anyone who is willing to sit on it? There are still 2 more people left. Can the enforcers do it?" Someone in the enforcers team asked. Bai Yi said calmly, "Yes." As soon as he said this, a black-masked and a colorful masked expert sat down. They were from the Earth Division and the Xian Division. Bai Yi was straightforward. He did not probe this time because these 2 were both Sun-Moon realm. Then we have all 24 of them. Including us here, there are still 76 people. Excluding me, there are still black 1, color 1, gray 1, and 72 others. Each of them will choose 3 white-masked experts and 4 white-masked experts from the prefecture to work together to control the intelligence transaction of the prefecture. It's best to work together. If the 4 of them work together, they will have their own specialties. As for me and Black One, we will be in charge of inspecting the entire system of the 4 heaven-hunting tribes. As White One spoke, he looked at the white faces who were standing there. When we arrive, we will work together. Remember. Don't think about fighting over anything. If we don't fight now, we will be courting death if we go to the human realm. If we are not careful at the human realm, we will be completely annihilated. It was very dangerous. After going to the Sun and Moon realm for so many days, the heaven-hunting pavilion felt that it was dangerous. On the other hand, Su Yu was shocked by the heaven-hunting pavilion's generosity. On the other hand, he was also wondering how many Sun, Moon, and human realm warriors the heaven-hunting pavilion had sent to the human realm. Weren't they afraid that they would be invincible in the human realm and kill them all in one go? Bai Yi continued, when we reach the human realm, we can develop some humans to enter the heaven-hunting pavilion. However, we can't do anything above the black-masked warriors. We can only develop some gray-masked warriors and colorful-masked warriors. Everyone's heaven-hunting maps can still be used when you reach the human realm. The rules are the same as before. The white-masked humans who are in charge of overseeing a prefecture will activate their special abilities. They can contact the law enforcers of the main division directly. For example, the Heaven Division can contact me, and the Black Division can contact Kai. This is because your direct elders might not participate in this operation. Bai Yi spoke for a long time, and it was all about rules and regulations. In the end, he continued, if you go to the human realm, you might be separated at the beginning and will be hunted down by the human race. Don't underestimate the human race. There are many sun and moon realms in the human realm. Once you are discovered, the human race, especially the Great Xia Manor and the Great Qin Manor, will not welcome outsiders. They like to hunt down outsiders in exchange for merit points. After we split up, don't worry. Try your best to keep your lives. Get the gathering place from the law enforcers of the headquarters. If the law enforcers are killed, then contact the elders. If you can't contact the elders, then wait for the successor to contact you. A white-masked man couldn't help but ask, is the human race so dangerous? Could it be more dangerous than the heavenly battlefield? We've all survived the heavenly battlefield, so why should we be afraid of this? Bai Yi said coldly, the heavenly battlefield hasn't erupted into a war yet, and this side isn't the home ground of the other races. Although the human realm doesn't have the power to suppress us, there are many experts. Moreover, this is the home ground of the human race. Don't you think it's dangerous? Remember what I said, especially the Great Xia and Great Qin manors. They are the most dangerous. As for which manors you're guarding now, when you reach the human realm, I'll inform you. I won't inform you now. If you're assigned to these two manors, pray for your own good. It was very dangerous. The experts of those two manors love to kill. What about the Great Zhou manors? The Great Zhou manors, Bai Yi thought for a moment and said, are also very dangerous. However, the Great Zhou manors prefer to enter closed-door cultivation. There are not many experts outside the city. Lord Bai Yi, will it be too conspicuous if we wear the heaven-hunting masks and go to the human race? Yes. Then can we take off the masks? You can try if you're a human, but if you're not, you'll find that you'll die faster if you don't wear the masks. Bai Yi was so indifferent. He was a human, so you could try and hide inside. If not, the human race also liked to kill demons and gods, because that group of people was very poor. When they saw you, they thought of blood essence. If you wear a mask, you can adjust it. You don't have to wear a white mask or a black mask. You can wear a mask or something like that. Some humans also like to wear masks and cloaks. That's fine. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1977. 1977 Chapter 438 Transmission Border 5. Now that everyone had seen it, non-humans might not be familiar with the habits of humans. Bai Yi added, in addition, black, colorful, and gray will arrive later and meet up with you. Those who belong to different manors will be given a communication channel to contact those people when they arrive. Or they don't need to meet and can just be controlled by remote control. It's best if they don't meet so that they won't be captured in one go. Suyu interjected, Sir, then we will be in charge of intelligence, transportation, and transactions. For this transaction, will our warehouse be under our control or will it be transported over by the law enforcers every time? You guardians will be in charge. As for the specifics, we'll talk about it when we arrive. If they don't arrive, they'll die. It's useless to say anything more. He reminded everyone again and again that it was dangerous. After a few times, everyone became more alert. This time, Bai Yi didn't say anything more. He quickly said, start picking people now. Tonight, we'll leave the city and meet up. Then, we'll set off to the human realm. Yes. Everyone responded in unison. Suyu also started picking people. After taking a look, they were all pretty much the same. Of course, there were strong and weak auras. However, most of them were mountains and seas. He didn't know if there was Ling Yun or not. Perhaps there was, but now, their auras were chaotic, it was hard to differentiate. Was there Ling Yun on the white mask? Yes, I am. Suyu thought to himself. He was too lazy to choose. He quickly said, we need a white mask from the yellow tribe. 2 powerful ones. After saying that, he added, it would be best if we have a yellow 9, earth 9, and sky 9. Everyone, please address them well. After saying that, there were actually people in the crowd who laughed and said, I am yellow 9, Xian 9, together. There was Huangjiu, but Earthjiu and Tianjiu, well, there were also 2 Sun-Moon realm experts. The experts who had been sitting on the chairs earlier all looked at Suyu at this moment. Even if their expressions couldn't be seen, one could see that their gazes were strange and sharp. We're Tianjiu and Earthjiu. Do you want to go with you? Suyu smiled and didn't say anything. His combat strength wasn't too strong. At least, the one he had just displayed was just so. The one who came to him was only Huangjiu. Of course, after the experts were selected, the short ones were worried that they would be assigned to the weakest ones, so 2 more experts quickly came. One was from the Xian division like Suyu, Xian 17. One was from the Earth division, Earth 18. At this point, the upper echelons of the prefecture had been formed. Xian 9, Xian 17, Earth 18, and Huang 9. They were all at the Shanghai realm, including Suyu, who had also revealed the Shanghai realm. Such strength wasn't considered weak, but compared to the other groups, it was slightly weaker. The other groups had more than 1 sun and moon, because the 4 law enforcers were among them. Those experts had recruited those law enforcers right from the start. Suyu couldn't be bothered to recruit them. Among the law enforcers, there were also many sun and moon. The point was, who had the final say in recruiting the sun and moon? He might as well give it to the other group. Just a few mountains and seas was pretty good. At this moment, Bai and the other 3 law enforcers looked at the group. Bai nodded slightly, then let's do it this way. Remember, when everyone reaches the human realm, they also have missions. Of course, there are missions and rewards. The human realm is considered to open up a market. If the commission is high, it will be calculated as a 1% commission, which is 10 times higher than the heavenly battlefield. In addition, there are very few heaven-hunting leaderboards in the human realm. There are almost none. Most of them are in the heavenly battlefield. Therefore, we can only rely on everyone to open up the market there. We can't use the current mature market system. Suyu felt a headache when he heard that. It sounded like they were doing business. Alright, they were indeed doing business. However, the humans didn't believe that they were doing business. Also, you can bring some of the heaven-hunting talent rankings with you and send them to those who you think can be traded. Those who are sent out can only contact your own heaven-hunting atlas. Whoever sends it out will get it. There's no such thing as stealing customers. Suyu secretly liked it. This was not bad. Otherwise, just like the current battle of the heavens, we could only rely on the platform to send out the orders. There was no room for individual performance. If we lacked old customers, we would become errands instead of sales staff to expand the market. I'm a little excited. Expand the market, I can do it. Just send me to the Great Xia Mansion. I'll expand Xia Huyo. He has money. The Xia family is in charge of a mansion. They still have money. If it doesn't work out, I can go to expand Lord Xia's territory. He has money too. The Great Xia Mansion still has a few celestial corpses that are as heavy as the sun and the moon. Of course, I can also be assigned to the Daming Mansion. The old Zhu family also has money. There are quite a lot of rich people in the Daming mansion. Speaking of which, I'm not going back to do business. What are you thinking about? Su Yu warned himself to not think about this. I'm going back to make enemies, not to make money for the heaven hunting pavilion and himself. I'm already so rich. Alright, that's it. Let's leave the city tonight. Yes. In the middle of the night, a group of people left the city at an extremely fast speed. 12 elders led the group. They flew around aimlessly, making them feel dizzy and disoriented. Not only that, what surprised Su Yu was that they passed by a few portals along the way. Those were teleportation arrays. He had heard before that the powerful demons and gods had some teleportation arrays in this world. He did not expect the heaven hunting pavilion to have one as well. Of course, it was somewhat unusual. It was as if some ancient teleportation arrays had been controlled by the heaven hunting pavilion. Or rather, they had been repaired. After a few teleportation arrays, Su Yu and the others had lost their sense of direction and completely lost their sense of direction. They flew and ran around randomly again and again. After running for a long time, after another round of teleportation, Su Yu and the others arrived at a large array, and a passage appeared. A human realm passage. Su Yu was extremely surprised. There really was a passage, and it might have been controlled by the heaven hunting pavilion alone. The key was that no one knew. There were also a few faceless elders standing guard at the entrance of the passage. The moment they arrived, one of the faceless elders quickly said, 10 people in a group. This passageway isn't big. Enter quickly. After entering, you will be separated by the teleportation. I pray that your luck is good, but if your luck is bad and you are teleported to the center of the mansion, you will be dead for sure. After entering, pay attention to the information. I will tell you which mansion you are in charge of guarding. As soon as he finished speaking, the faceless elders quickly arranged for Su Yu to be pushed into a group of people. The 10 people in the first row instantly jumped into the tunnel and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After about 30 seconds, one of the faceless elders suddenly said, one died. Speechless. Su Yu was also speechless. What the hell, was he so unlucky? Where did he teleport to? He was killed the moment he entered. The mountains and seas weren't weak either. In the human realm, there weren't many mountains and seas, right? He was killed in 30 seconds. Could he have teleported to the city lord's mansion? At the same time. The human realm. Zhu Tiandao looked up at the sky, his face full of surprise and solemnity. Heaven hunting pavilion. He had crushed a person to death in his hand, but he didn't think much of it. He was just curious. Where did it come from? A realm passageway? Was this a cross-border teleportation from the heaven hunting pavilion? This passageway seemed unstable. It was actually teleporting randomly. 5th level of the mountain and sea realm. White mask. Zhu Tiandao muttered to himself and quickly sent a message. Pay attention and check. Open the induction mirror. It seems that the heaven hunting pavilion is teleporting across the realm. Let's see if we can capture a few people alive. I'm afraid there's more than one coming. Not only that, the unstable passageway might be near the Daming Manor. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so coincidental that it would hit his head. Forget it, it's not a big deal. White noodles, let's talk about a few faceless ones. Faceless ones aren't enough. If you have the ability, come to the golden noodles. Speaking of which, will the golden noodles come? I'm a little scared. It's fine. Call me Dad. My dad is in the human realm. In the next moment, he quickly sent a message, Dad, the heaven hunting pavilion is transmigrating across the border. The passageway might be near the Daming Manor. Hurry up and capture him. Roger. We're rich, the heaven hunting pavilion is rich. At this moment, the Daming King, who was watching his grandson farm, quickly disappeared. His voice reverberated in the heaven-hunting realm, "My grandson is a good farmer. If any of you dare to destroy the farmland again, I'll beat all of you to death." The entire realm was extremely quiet. The great Ming king had returned alone. The moment he returned, he brought his grandson to farm. The current Zhu Guangshan was only a step away from planting the land in the sacred land of the Qiu Suo realm. If he continued to plant the land, the vicinity of the Tianyuan sacred land would be surrounded. So, this Tianyuan sacred land was going to become his Zhu family's. Some people wanted to cry but had no tears. Some people were filled with grief and indignation. Some people prayed for the return of their forefather. This was not possible. The Tianyuan Holy Land was going to be gone. If the great Ming king did not give the broken monsters farmland, then the Tianyuan Holy Land would be encircled. How were we going to get there? This family, why were they all like this? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1978. 1978 Chapter 439, Return to the Human Realm 1. Heaven's Battlefield, Entrance of the Passageway. The first batch had already lost their lives. Even so, everyone only expressed their silence for this unlucky fellow. Very soon, the second batch continued. This time, an elder entered. Su Yu seemed to have seen the black armor. Alright, he didn't recognize the black armor. The group of elders really looked the same, but it wasn't easy to investigate and identify them carefully. He simply couldn't differentiate them. He hoped that the black armor was alright. Su Yu prayed for the black armor, the kind that was not very sincere. If the black armor died, he could become an elder, but if it died and a new elder was found, it might be even more troublesome. Very soon, the second group of experts entered. Then, the third group, the fourth group. Very soon, it was Su Yu's turn. The 10 people quickly entered the tunnel. Faceless Elder shouted, "Jump!" The other party had used the regular tunnel to teleport, and this side was to jump in. As expected, a stowaway was a stowaway. The next moment, Su Yu jumped in. The world was spinning. With the pressure of the boundary wall, if it wasn't for this unstable tunnel, it might have been crushed. Su Yu's body was extremely strong, and he felt a little uncomfortable. How did those flying people sneak in? During the process of Su Yu being transported, he was considering this question. One had to know that this time, there would be a large number of gray-masked figures entering as well. They were so weak, weren't they afraid of being squeezed to death? With doubt, he had already been transported into the human realm. His vision blurred and lit up again. The human realm had arrived. Opening his eyes, Su Yu was stunned. At this moment, from all directions, streams of aura erupted and rapidly rushed towards him. Su Yu was slightly stunned and looked down. He was really stunned. This was so familiar. This was Nan Yuan. Damn! Was my luck too good or too bad? Nan Yuan. I'm actually in Nan Yuan. At this moment, several auras of the sun and moon came over. Someone shouted, "Who are you?" Dragon Martial Guards, capture and kill. Heaven Hunting Pavilion's white mask. Su Yu woke up and saw experts coming from all directions. He also shouted, "Heaven Hunting Pavilion, Xian Jiu of the Xian tribe, is here to do business. I have no ill intentions. If you have any requests, you can come to me, Xian Jiu, anytime." As he finished speaking, he flashed through the air and disappeared in an instant. Since he was here, it was better to make a name for himself. There seemed to be quite a number of experts on Nan Yuan's side. Moreover, he sensed that there were not only experts, but also many weaklings. There were so many people soaring through the mountains and seas. He had no idea. Since when did Nanyuan have so many people? There were even more of them than the last time. From the looks of it, they were people from various factions. It was just the right time for him to make a name for himself. Whine. He slashed out with his saber. It was a familiar saber technique, a simplified version of the heaven-splitting saber. Suyu punched out and exploded the saber light. He laughed out loud and said, "The heaven-hunting pavilion has entered the human realm and is omnipotent. It provides everything. All the major factions can do business. Intelligence, assassination, protection, business, everything is done." As he finished speaking, he exploded another ray of light and instantly disappeared from the spot. "Forget it, I won't tease them anymore. Look, he scared them." Suyu quickly flew into the air and disappeared from the spot. He was secretly happy. Not bad, he actually landed in Nanyuan. This could be considered the border between the Great Ming Mansion and the Great Xia Mansion. It was still alright, there wasn't much danger. The person who was overseeing this place was also the sun and moon. However, the person who had just stabbed him was probably only at the first or second level of the sun and moon. A strike from across the air didn't have much of an effect on Suyu. He had run away. He would first find a place to lay low for a while, and at the same time, find out which manor he was guarding. His speed was extremely fast, and very quickly, he disappeared into the sky above the southern origin city. Meanwhile, in the southern origin city, countless people raised their heads. Some had strange looks in their eyes, while others did not quite understand. Someone said in a low voice, "Heaven Hunting Pavilion? I seem to have heard of it. Xianjiu, is that a code name or a name? He seems to be very powerful." The commander of the Dragon Marshal's secret guards actually failed to take him down. Heaven Hunting Pavilion actually sent a human realm cultivator and made such a big fuss about it. This Xianjiu, is he courting death? He actually dares to be so bold in the territory of the Great Xia Mansion. This is a group of people who are even more detestable than the Myriad Clan sect. Of course, they are also very dangerous. Those who had been to the heavenly battlefield quickly explained the situation to the others. The group of people gasped in shock. Very quickly, they understood what kind of faction the Heaven Hunting Pavilion was. Xianjiu, at this moment, countless people remembered this code name, the white-faced member of the mysterious tribe of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. In the sky, the sun-moon from the Great Xia Mansion did not chase after them. His expression was grave. He actually knew Suyu, and he had always been in charge here. Of course, at this moment, he would not have thought that the person who had just escaped was Suyu. He had not thought of this either. Stop fooling around. That person just now had destroyed his saber ray with a punch. His strength had reached the sun-moon realm and was incomparably powerful. What did it have to do with Suyu? He quickly sent a message. Heaven Hunting Pavilion members have suddenly appeared in the sky above Nanyuan. White-masked, Heaven Hunting Pavilion Xianjiu. His combat strength should be at the first level of the sun-moon realm. He has already escaped. He might be hiding in the Great Xia Mansion's territory. He quickly reported the news. At this moment, Suyu was not the only one who appeared in this area, within the territory of the Great Xia Mansion and the Great Ming Mansion. Some people escaped, some were captured, and some were killed. As for Suyu, he was currently escaping when suddenly, the calamity word divine script started to throb. He was stunned. Danger. He did not want to be stunned, but he was truly stunned. This was because the calamity word divine script suddenly throbbed as if it was about to explode, causing his entire sea of consciousness to tremble. In the next moment, laughter rang in his ears. I caught another big fish, it wasn't in vain for me to tear through the void. I'm exhausted. Suyu was extremely terrified. He felt it. He felt a hand suddenly appear behind him. Suyu was terrified. Grandpa Zhu, Grandpa Xiao. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1979. 1979 Chapter 439, Return to the Human Realm 2. He didn't know who was invincible, but that didn't stop him from knowing that this was invincible. The people in the vicinity might be the Great Xia King or the Great Ming King, and their voices sounded vaguely familiar. He should have heard them in the ancient city before, but it seemed that he only heard the voices of these two masters. Behind Su Yu. The Daeming King appeared almost soundlessly and reached out to grab Su Yu. Unrivaled could see through Su Yu, but which Unrivaled had nothing to do and went to investigate each and every one of them. If he didn't carefully investigate, it would be difficult for him to directly see through Su Yu. Just as he was about to grab Su Yu, he was slightly stunned. "Call me. I know you." A divine light flashed in his eyes. He looked at Su Yu again and only saw the back of his head. It didn't matter. At a glance, this was a human's head. A human's head was still different from a human's head. He stretched out his hand and grabbed Su Yu's head like he was grabbing a chicken. He turned Su Yu's head around and looked again. Although there was a mask blocking him, it still couldn't block him. The Daeming King took a closer look. It looked a little familiar. He felt the dense aura of death in this person's body again and was stunned. Heaven Hunting Pavilion's Xianzhou. Xianzhou equals Su Yu. He had heard this arrogant words from far away. He had easily retreated from Sun and Moon's hands. The power of his punch had also reached the might of Sun and Moon. That was why he said he had caught a big fish. Sun and Moon realm was a big fish no matter where one was. But now. Su Yu. Sun and Moon Su Yu. The Daeming King looked at him with a strange expression. As for Su Yu, he was so frightened that his head was stiff. Damn, how could he meet an invincible opponent the moment he came? This was too terrifying. The mask disappeared in an instant. Su Yu looked at the Daeming King, and the Daeming King looked back at him. After a long while, Su Yu swallowed his saliva. "Greetings, Grandpa Zhu." The Daeming King was silent. He had heard a rumor that a certain someone had said in Heaven Destruction City that he was his god-great-grandfather. Now, he had seen it for himself. Holding Su Yu's head, he was thinking about a question. Was this true or false? Su Yu, who was in the ancient city, had reached the human realm. He felt that Su Yu, who was about to die, was full of energy. He even had the mood to enter the human realm. No, he had even sneaked into the Heaven Hunting Pavilion and left the city. Just now, he had even shouted at a Sun and Moon. He was very arrogant. Was this Su Yu? So strong. He pinched Su Yu's body. His expression changed, but he did not touch Su Yu at all. He pinched again, and Su Yu started to cry. It was so painful. He was terrified, and even the Daeming King was shocked. What the f***ck? This body was too strong. It was as strong as the sun and the moon. How could it be so strong? As an invincible person, he had good eyesight. Su Yu did not use any innate blood essence. He could still tell whether the rumored innate blood essence was useful or not. He was useless. This was his true physical strength, and he did not use any Yi Baishan's divine runes. He was not blind. He patted Su Yu's head and said with a complicated expression, "Put on the mask. I don't really want to see this young face. It's easy for me to recall my lost youth." Su Yu obediently put on the mask in an instant. The Ming King secretly heaved a sigh of relief. If I didn't look at his face, I would be much more comfortable. He came in through the passageway. Yes. How many people? 12 elders and 100 white-masked men. Where's the passageway? I don't know. I've been teleported around for a long time. I don't know the exact address. Are there any gold-masked men? No, I didn't see any. You sold out the heaven hunting pavilion just like that. The Daming King is so complicated. I wanted to capture one of them alive to interrogate him. Why did you say everything? Su Yu was speechless. Nonsense. It's normal for me to betray the heaven hunting pavilion. When did you sneak in? A few days ago, after the first city was sealed, Xianzhou died and I took over. This body of yours. Open the heavenly cycle aperture and cast another 50 to 60 times. That's it. He was speechless. That's right, open the heavenly cycle aperture and cast another dozens of times. Wouldn't that be it? How simple. As for Su Yu, he stole a glance at the Daming King. This was the first time he had seen the appearance of the Daming King. He looked like a middle-aged man who was rather refined and had the air of a civilized master, however. There was a hint of rudeness in his refined manner, and he was not easygoing enough. A civilized master was refined and easygoing. This person had the intention of pretending to be refined. He peeked at Daming King, who was also looking at him. After a long while, he said weakly, "You're lucky. It actually fell into my hands." I heard that. You're very rich. Su Yu was terrified. Forget it, I won't rob you anymore. That. You're dead. Remember to tell us where your body is and where your inheritance is. If you're still alive, then forget it. If he was dead, this guy wouldn't be able to use up all his belongings even if he was dead. Remember to tell us where your body and inheritance are. I didn't mean anything by it. I just wanted to collect your body. Su Yu was helpless. Was there a need for that? Grandpa Zhu. Has your seniority increased? Su Yu was speechless. What did I say last time? This is my great-great-grandfather. It has indeed increased my seniority. Can you let go of my head? He was afraid of being pinched by someone else. He was afraid that this person would know that he was rich. One would get excited, and the other would accidentally pinch him to death. Invincible, he was really too strong. Su Yu did not have any thoughts of resisting at all. He was terrifyingly strong. Grandpa Zhu, the others have entered the border as well. Kill more, rob more. If I kill all the elders, I might be able to control the channels of several large manors by myself. It made sense. There was no need to waste time with Su Yu. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1980. 1980 Chapter 439, Return to the Human Realm 3. This fellow, forget it. Even the Daming King was speechless. Everyone thought that he was in the ancient city, but he had returned to the human realm. He casually threw him away and the Daming King instantly disappeared. Once you return to the human realm, you can contact Zhu Tiandao to help at any time. Don't run around. After saying this, he disappeared. It was not easy to snatch and kill. Forget it, he did not care about Su Yu anymore. Su Yu did not have too much death chi in his body, so he was a little surprised. Wasn't this kid the city lord? The backlash was not too strong. He had sealed the city gates for so many days, but nothing happened. If you said that he was about to die. Now, the Daming King did not believe it at all. To think that everyone still thought that Su Yu was dead for sure. The Daming King seriously suspected that this guy might not die even if he lived for another 100 or 1,000 years. It was a waste of everyone's imagination. The great Ming King had disappeared. As for Su Yu, he wiped the non-existent sweat on his forehead. He was quite frightened. He was almost crushed to death. He was praying for the people of the heaven hunting pavilion. To think that an invincible person would come and look for them personally. TSK, who knows how many people would die this time. The black-armored elder is still alive, right? I pray for you again. Su Yu quickly fled. Very soon, he found an uninhabited wilderness, landed on the ground, hid, and activated the ninjutsu divine art. Only then did he have time to check the news. Xianjiu, you will be in charge of the Great Xia Manor. If anything goes wrong, Huang Jiu and the others will take over and wait for the heaven hunting talent list to be opened. At this moment, the heaven hunting talent list that covered the human realm had yet to be opened. Currently, only a few people were contacting each other. Great Xia Manor. Su Yu muttered to himself. The Great Xia Manor was very dangerous. Could it be that the heaven hunting pavilion did not know? Why did it feel like the heaven hunting pavilion was sending a random person to his death? To be honest, he was only Su Yu. If it wasn't for the fact that he was in charge of the Great Xia Manor, it would be really dangerous. Not to mention the strength of the Shanhai realm, even if the sun and moon were high, it would be dangerous for him to be in charge of the Great Xia Manor. They actually assigned him to the Great Xia Manor. Su Yu mocked in his heart for a while. Very quickly, he started to contact his immediate superior. Elder, are you still alive? He could contact Black Armor in a single line. Black Armor was in the human realm, but he was not in the heavenly battlefield. There was no reply for a long time. After a long while, Su Yu thought he was dead. Black Armor replied, your ability to protect your life is not weak. Let me ask you a question. When you are being chased by a 9th-level Sun-Moon warrior, how can you escape? Su Yu was speechless. What did he mean by that? You are being chased by someone. And a 9th-level Sun-Moon cultivator. This serves you right. Elder, who is chasing after you? It could be the mansion master of Daming Mansion. It could be, but he was not sure. Because Xian Jia was frantically escaping, he was already at his limit for being able to reply. Mansion master of Daming Mansion? Probably. Tell me, do you want to reveal your identity so that he will give up on chasing after me? This, cough cough, elder, I'm not familiar with Manor Head Ju. Xian Jia did not reply. It seemed like he was still fleeing. As for Su Yu saying that he was not familiar, who would believe it? It was not as if Xian Jia had not checked Su Yu's information before. At this moment, in a large mountain, a faceless person flashed and disappeared. He quickly fled, and in another flash, someone came from behind. He smiled faintly and said, you can't escape from my palm. It's actually a faceless elder. 8th level Sun Moon. Looks like I've made a huge profit this time. Seal the heavens. With a low shout, the heaven and earth turned upside down, and the sun and moon hung in the sky. The Black Armor felt his vision blur, and he instantly fell into a vast white world. With a low shout, his chi and blood soared into the sky. With a rumble, he broke through an opening and quickly fled. Behind him, Zhu Tiandao was somewhat surprised. Not weak. The 8th level of the sun and moon was strong, but there were not many 8th level sun and moon that could escape from his heaven sealing spell. Good, it looks like I've really caught a big fish this time. Faceless, who is ranked at the top? Zhu Tiandao laughed. This was definitely the faceless elder who was ranked at the top. Xian Jia suddenly turned his head and shouted in a low voice, Manor Head Ju, the heaven hunting pavilion is only here for a trade, not an enemy. Why must you be so aggressive? So what if I force you? I'm willing to spend money to buy my life. If I kill you, your corpse will be mine. Xian Jia cursed in his heart. He had actually met Zhu Tiandao. This really gave him a headache. He quickly said, do you want to know the news about Su Yu? I know Su Yu and have a very good relationship with him. I'm in cahoots with him. Ha! Zhu Tiandao laughed coldly and instantly waved out a wave of divine runes. The surrounding void froze, and it was difficult for the Black Armor to escape. Helpless. He sent another voice transmission. It's true. Su Yu and I are on the same side. If you don't believe me, you can send a voice transmission to him. He has returned to the human realm, and the voice transmission talisman should be able to be used. Send a voice transmission to him and ask him if the black armor is on the same side as him. Zhu Tiandao's face was full of surprise. Stop fooling around. He was the city lord of the heavenly battlefield. Even though he was extremely suspicious, he still quickly transmitted his voice to Su Yu. If Su Yu was really in the human realm, then he could send a voice transmission. Of course, if Su Yu destroyed his voice transmission talisman, then there was nothing he could do. Just as he was thinking, the voice transmission was sent out. Zhu Tiandao's heart stirred slightly. In the next moment, Su Yu replied, "Mansion Master, long time no see." That Xian Jia. Cough cough, he can be considered my immediate superior. Lord Mansion Master has killed him. It's best if you capture him alive and kill him. Then, an elder will come and take care of me. I'm very troublesome. Su Yu's voice transmission. Zhu Tiandao was incomparably shocked. Just like his father, he had never thought that Su Yu had really returned to the human realm. Xian Jia knew Su Yu's identity. Yes, this was Su Yu's direct elder. At this moment, Zhu Tiandao shouted in a low voice. The divine runes hung in the air. That kid was too careless. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1981. 1981 Chapter 439, Return to the Human Realm 4. It was not a good thing for someone to know his identity and that he had returned to the human realm. At this moment, countless thoughts flashed through Zhu Tiandao's mind. In the next moment, he roared and the surrounding void was completely frozen by him. The black armor also let out a muffled groan and quickly broke through the frozen space to escape. Although Zhu Tiandao was not quasi-invincible, he was still at the 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm. He was at the 8th level of the Sun-Moon realm, so it was very difficult for him to fight. Escape. Zhu Tiandao grunted coldly as he muttered. The heavens are for my use, suppress. Boom. Countless mountains crashed down. The heavenly Tao is merciless, all laws are easy to break, disperse. Boom. All the Yuan Qi in the surroundings dissipated instantly. The black armor was alarmed as he suddenly lost the connection with the Yuan Qi outside. Fire. Water. Freeze. Zhu Tiandao kept shouting from behind. Flames surged into the sky, waves surged, snow flew everywhere, and the world spun. Divine runes exploded one after another, hitting the black armor's faceless mask, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Open. At that moment, the black armor roared angrily as it punched through the sky. Its lifeblood surged into the sky as it escaped in the blink of an eye. Just as Zhu Tiandao was about to chase after it, he was slightly taken aback before he suddenly stopped. Mountain suppressing fist. Zhu Tiandao blinked his eyes. Mountain suppressing fist. What was going on? He stopped chasing after Su Yu. His gaze was a little strange as he quickly transmitted his voice, Su Yu, where did that black armor come from? I don't know. Did the manor head beat him to death? No, he escaped. Su Yu was speechless. You're at the 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm, yet you didn't keep him. Alright, you're indeed a fake 9th level of the Sun-Moon realm. You can't make it onto the Tao proving board. You're so weak. You didn't even win against a mystic armor expert. Su Yu was speechless. Zhu Tiandao was too lazy to say anything. His gaze was a little strange. He quickly said, Where are you? I'm hiding. Where are you hiding? I don't know. You're still on guard against me? No one knows that you're back, right? Someone knows. Just now, the great Ming King met me and said that I should look for you for help at any time. You'll be on standby 24 hours a day and will come to rescue me at any time. Damn, you even met my father. This luck was really not bad. Zhu Tiandao really wanted to ask, did my father rob you? You're so rich, with 7 to 8,000 strands of heaven and earth mystic light. If you weren't robbed, then my father's conscience would be acting up. Destroy the voice transmission talisman. Quickly, change the frequency and contact me again. Zhu Tiandao reminded him. It's still alright if you've just returned. Once someone tries to contact you, they'll know that you've returned or that your voice transmission talisman is in the human realm. Su Yu almost forgot about it and didn't reply. Soon, a new frequency fluctuation was transmitted over. Zhu Tiandao received it. Sure enough, it was Su Yu who had changed the frequency. Lord Mansion Master, how many white faces and elders have Daming Manor killed? Why are you asking this? I'll see how many have died and how many are left. I'll see if I can get a chance to kill a few and expand my territory. Zhu Tiandao was also speechless. He quickly said, it's not over yet. I'll contact you when it's over. Don't run around. He and his father were the same. Su Yu was also depressed. Why did all of you say that to stop me from running around? I'm not a child. I'm someone who can fight the sun and the moon. Feeling too lazy to say anything more, Su Yu quickly said, Manor Head, arrest by Junsheng. I want to impersonate him. Don't let him come out so as to avoid exposing my identity. There were still some acquaintances in Daming Manor. Bai Feng's cousin, Bai Junsheng, was rather familiar with him. Impersonating a member of the Zhu family was not very good. Since he was in the human realm, he should at least have a proper identity. Of course, he had to choose someone to impersonate him. Bai Junsheng. Su Yu knew about his situation. Zhu Tiandao secretly ridiculed him. You're the one who made Shui Lang unable to get out. Now, you're going to make Bai Junsheng. The geniuses of Daming Manor won't dare to go out in the future. All right. He didn't say much, so he pretended to be Bai Junsheng. Su Yu also didn't care about this. Bai Junsheng's identity was good. Bai Feng's younger cousin could openly go to Bai Feng and the others. Bai Feng, your father misses you. Take a look, there's nothing wrong with it. Moreover, it wouldn't be exposed because the mansion master of the Daming Mansion would capture Bai Junsheng. How good would that be? If he pretended to be someone else and was careful that two identical people appeared, even a fool would know that there was a problem. In the Great Xia Manor, Su Yu took a deep breath. He had returned. This time, he had returned as an expert, the Heaven Hunting Pavilion's Mystic 9. The person in charge of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion in the Great Xia Manor. Right at this moment, Su Yu's mask trembled. The sub-rankings have been established, we can communicate with each other now. Su Yu's heart moved. As expected, within his mask, a few more signal sources appeared. There was Earth 18, and there was Yellow 9. Su Yu did not waste any time and quickly asked, are you still alive? Yes. Yes. No problem. The three white-masked men were actually alive. Their luck was really good. We are in charge of guarding the Great Xia Manor. You guys move around the vicinity of the Great Xia Manor. Don't go to the prefecture capital. Keep in contact at all times. Try not to meet each other in case your identities are exposed and you are targeted by the Great Xia Manor. We'll be in charge of guarding the Great Xia Manor. Huang Jiu's words almost made him curse out loud. Xian Jiu, did you offend someone? They were actually assigned to the Great Xia Manor. It was too dangerous. One had to know that Bai Yi had warned them many times before that the Great Xia Manor and the Great Qin Manor were frighteningly dangerous. Especially the Great Xia Manor. Now, they were assigned to the Great Xia Manor. The few of you have almost offended someone and have been sent to this godforsaken place. Let's not talk about it anymore, it's too dangerous. If anything happens, report back to me in a timely manner. First, you have to take root in the Great Xia manner, and then you can follow up. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1982. 1982 Chapter 439 Return to the Human Realm 5. Okay. The white-faced people quickly replied. Su Yu was their immediate superior, so they had to give him some face. Furthermore, in the Great Xia manner, they had to listen to Su Yu. On this day, the human realm received news. The heaven-hunting pavilion had entered the realm. A large number of faceless and white-faced people had entered the realm. There were many days and months, and the rest were mostly in the mountains and seas. They mainly appeared in the vicinity of the Great Shang Manor, the Great Ming Manor, and the Great Song Manor. This meant that in this area, there may be an unstable corridor. Covered a number of big mansion, the specific where, is not too clear. Daming Wang personally rushed back, also did not find the passage where. Of course, this channel is very unstable, and the transmission is very random. The heaven-hunting pavilion also paid a great price for this stowaway. On the first day, an elder died, 8 white faces died, the sun and moon crashed 3 times, the elder is the sun and moon, among the 8 white faces, there are also 2 sun and moon realm, this day, 3 sun and moon realm died. And this was only the first day of illegal immigration. Of course, the first day was also the most dangerous. At this point, of the 11 elders, 92 white-masked men survived and quickly hid in various parts of the human realm. In the following period of time, the white-masked men and the elders would go to their respective areas to understand the human realm and integrate into the human realm. In a short period of time, the heaven-hunting pavilion would not issue any missions. There was a period of adaptation. At this moment, Bai Junsheng appeared near the southern Yuan. Hiding in the dark was not Su Yu's style. Bai Junsheng had already been captured. Zhu Tiandao told Su Yu that Bai Junsheng was now in the dungeon of the city lord's mansion, so Su Yu could pretend to be him if he wanted to. Su Yu had to admit that the mansion master was a bull. He was captured in a moment. Amazing. Before his eyes, he had arrived at southern Yuan City once again. Su Yu took a deep breath and returned. This place was filled with too many things. He did not have the time to take a closer look just now, but there was nothing much now. When he looked again, beams of blood chi light appeared in the city. Ordinary people would not be able to see them, but Su Yu could. The small southern Yuan city had gathered quite a number of experts. Just as Su Yu was pretending to be Bai Junsheng, he entered southern Yuan city. At the same time, Great Xia Manor. Heart Cultivation Pavilion. Wan Tiansheng frowned slightly as he looked towards the south. He was puzzled, and strange. What was going on? He had left something in Su Yu's heart. Su Yu's position was in the human realm, so he could roughly control it. But at this moment, he seemed to have sensed someone's existence. Impossible. Wan Tianqing muttered. He had sensed wrongly. Su Yu was an ancient starred city. He was still the city lord. It was impossible for him to return to the human realm. Even if he did, he would know. There was also no news from the heavenly prefecture. Su Yu is still in the heavenly battlefield. Could it be that I'm old? Wan Tianqing shook his head as he thought to himself. The distance was not too far. It seemed to be close to the southern origin realm. How was that possible? Wan Tianqing could not help but laugh. It was impossible. A moment later, his face turned stiff. He was not that old yet. How could his senses be wrong? Su Yu was really close to the southern origin realm. F***ck. This brat is back. Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Su Yu. He recalled the information he had just received. Heaven Hunting Pavilion had entered the country and was here illegally. In that case, Su Yu might have snuck into Heaven Hunting Pavilion and returned. Wan Tianxing had a strange expression on his face. Is he Ling Yun? He seemed to be. Could he fight the mountains and seas? He seemed to be able to. In that case, could it be that it was this time? Everything that I saw, could it have happened this time? He raised his head to look at the ceiling with a half smile, half cry, and half smile. Does this mean that what I saw in the 100 years of my lifespan is actually something that happened recently? 100 years isn't worth it. Wait a minute. Wan Tianxing suddenly thought of something. My 100 years of lifespan isn't so useless as to be able to see so few things and see such a close-up scene. In other words, the person who consumed my lifespan might not be someone else, it was Su Yu. Because the things I saw were more important, that was why the consumption was so great. That meant that the person with the deepest memory was Su Yu. At that time, Su Yu had only opened his yuan. That meant that perhaps it was because of this kid that he consumed so much. Wan Tianxing's gaze was a little strange. This made sense. It was also because he saw Su Yu that he paid more attention to Su Yu at that time. All the karma has already appeared. Wan Tianxing muttered to himself. Actually, I didn't see the appearance of invincible betrayal in the scene I saw. Instead, I saw Su Yu's appearance clearly. Actually, the main character in that scene might not be invincible betrayal, but Su Yu. He seemed to have been missing the main point all along. Wan Tianxing's expression changed. Su Yu. Had he occupied a very important position and role in the future? He had seen his appearance in the corner of the battle, but his memory was so deep. In that case, perhaps it wasn't that he had seen the corner of the battle, but that he was in the corner, and Su Yu was the future that hadn't been seen completely. As these thoughts rose up in his mind, myriad heaven saints seemed to have understood something. He looked toward the south once more, feeling a little speechless. The city lord of the ancient city, Su Yu, had returned. Who in the myriad realms would believe that this fellow would be able to return to the human realm? The battle is about to begin. Myriad heaven saint took a deep breath. The scene he had just witnessed was about to unfold. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1983. 1983 Chapter 440, I'm going to open a bill, LRB thanks to the 20 million reward from the big shot sun and moon in the teapot, 1. Nan Yuan. At the city gate, Su Yu walked in. There were guards, but the guards were all very weak. There were some dragon martial guards and a few who were in the air, but the strongest one was only Ling Yun. He was much stronger than the group of tens of thousands of stones back then. However, to Su Yu, after witnessing the invincible battle and killing sun and moon, he really felt very weak when he looked at these people in the air. The dragon martial guards looked at Su Yu with unfriendly eyes. One of the soaring guards said coldly, "Register, which mansion are you from?" As the elite troops of the Great Xia Mansion, they could only watch as the people from the big manors and forces came to the southern Yuan. They treated the southern Yuan like a latrine pit, going in and out, searching and searching. They were all filled with anger. Don't expect them to treat these outsiders too well. Great Ming Mansion, by Junxing. The next moment, the expressions of the few guards changed. It was not fear, not disgust, but an expression of someone from the Great Ming Mansion. Their expressions were somewhat relieved and somewhat complicated. From the Great Ming Mansion? Alright, go in. Just don't cause trouble. Don't mess around with people from other factions. By Junxing, from the Bai family? The guard in the air nodded and said casually, don't make do with people from the Daming Mansion. It's not that safe in the city, okay? So they're from the Daming Mansion. I was worried for a while. There's no problem now. The Daming Mansion has a lot of salted fish. Last time, there was a non-salted Chui Lang. Later, I heard that it wasn't Chui Lang. It seemed to be Su Yu in disguise. He's also from the Great Xia Mansion. Therefore, the Daming Mansion did not cause trouble. The person who caused trouble might have been an accident. It was Su Yu, of course. Now that Su Yu was no longer in the human realm, the people of the Daming Mansion were really salted fish. Su Yu felt that he was despised by others. He was despised. What was going on? This guard of the Great Xia Mansion had an expression of wanting to fight and kill just a moment ago. Now, he was acting as if he wanted to go in and be careful. Even if he did not cause trouble, he had to be careful that others would cause trouble for him. Were they looking down on me, Bai Junsheng, or were they looking down on the people of the Great Ming Manor? There was an invincible person wandering around the vicinity of the Great Ming Manor. Su Yu was powerless to retort. The reputation of the Great Ming Manor had been harmed. Seeing that he was still in a daze, the guard who had spoken earlier said in a bad mood, "Go in. What are you still standing there for? If you are from the Bai family of the Great Ming Manor, leave as soon as possible so that you won't cause trouble for researcher Bai Feng of the Polytheistic College." Su Yu was speechless and entered the city in a depressed manner. He felt a little helpless. If you were a little more ruthless and vicious to me, I would still have some face. But now, with the attitude of chasing a child away, you chased him into the city. How shameful. The moment he entered the city, someone shouted on the streets, "Brother Bai, you're here too? Didn't you say that you wouldn't come?" Su Yu raised his head to take a look and said perfunctorily, "Old Chi, you're here too?" "I'm just here for a stroll." "Why are you here?" "Brother Bai, I've been here for a long time. The last time I asked you to come, you said that if you didn't come, you wouldn't enter the Great Xia Mansion if you couldn't defeat Bai Feng." Su Yu actually knew that old Qi. He was a member of the Great Ming Mansion's weapon forging department. Bai Junsheng and Chui Lang were the same. Su Yu didn't know much about Bai Junsheng's recent situation, but he was fine. He casually said, "My second uncle asked me to come and play. I'll also look for my cousin and tell him to get some good stuff for our Bai family when he's free." Old Qi smiled. He was not surprised by Bai Junsheng's tone, because Bai Junsheng was just like that. Old Qi looked around and whispered, "Brother Bai, keep a low profile. Many people are watching researcher Bai Feng right now. Be careful not to be targeted." Su Yu did not think much of it. In the next moment, he shouted, "I'm Bai Junsheng, one of the 8 handsome men of Tiandu. I'm going to the Great Xia Manor to meet my cousin Bai Feng. If anyone tries to kill me on the way, I'll wait for you." Nan Yuan was not big, and Bai Junsheng was also in the air. This roar had spread far and wide. Keeping a low profile was not my style. I cannot keep a low profile either. Since that was the case, I will keep a slightly high profile. Of course, the strong will treat him as a child to play with. However, those who have ulterior motives will definitely target Su Yu for this. Bai Junsheng, Bai Feng's younger cousin. Currently, Bai Feng held a high position in the Polytheistic College, only second to Hong Tan. He was also Su Yu's teacher, so many people were watching him. Su Yu had returned to look for trouble, not to keep a low profile. Looking for trouble. Now that he was involved with the Polytheistic College, it was easiest for him to look for trouble. Right now, he was very bold. Firstly, his strength had increased. Secondly, the Darming King was nearby. Thirdly, the human race was invincible. Most of them were in the heavenly battlefield. No one knew that he had returned. Fourthly, according to his understanding of Lord Xia Ho and Xia Huyo, these fellows wanted to stir up trouble themselves. They were even prepared for the destruction of the Great Xia Manor, including the opening of the Polytheistic Literature Academy and the publicity of the splitting up of the divine literature battle techniques. In Su Yu's view, all of this was preparation to stir up trouble. Since that was the case, he didn't want to be the only one. The current Suyu had seen and understood many things. In reality, he could roughly guess the thoughts of the Xia family, including Hong Tan and the others. Revenge. That's right, revenge. It wasn't just Suyu who wanted to do something, but the entire polytheistic school of divine literature, Yi Beishan's lineage, was actually seeking revenge. Since that was the case, he had to find something to do. As he shouted, many people instantly arrived. The old Qi who had greeted him earlier had a speechless and helpless expression on his face. He hurriedly said, "It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. Everyone, don't take it seriously. Bai Feng has already severed ties with the Bai family. The last time Brother Bai went to the Great Xia Manor, he was beaten away by Bai Feng. Their relationship is very bad." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1984. 1984 Chapter 440, I'm going to open the bill, LRB thanks to the 20 million reward F Big Brother Sun and Moon in the pot, too. As he spoke, he transmitted his voice, Brother Bai, don't mess around. It's easy to get yourself into big trouble. Suyu, on the other hand, was very carefree. He had a fearless look on his face as he looked at his surroundings with slanted eyes and slanted eyebrows. He snorted, I am Bai Junsheng. The people from the Bai family of Daming Prefecture are about to head to the prefecture capital of Great Xia. Also, this Nan Yuan ruin belongs to Suyu. Suyu is my cousin's student, so he is half of my student. If you find this ruin, it will also belong to my Bai family. All of you, stop trying to get your hands on my Bai family. Idiot. Ha. Some people directly cursed while others laughed mockingly. The Bai family? Was it very powerful? What a joke. The Bai brothers were only at the Lingyun realm while Bai Feng's grandfather was only at the mountain and sea realm. Furthermore, he had not come out of seclusion for many years. You are from the Bai family? What a huge appetite. What a big tone. Even if Bai Feng was here, he did not dare to say that the Nan Yuan ruins belonged to the Bai family. The Xia family of the Great Xia Mansion did not dare to say that the ruins belonged to the Xia family either. Where did this rash youth come from? Was cousin Bai Feng so stupid? The 8 fine men of the Tiandu Mansion. They were more like 8 idiots. Everyone knew that the 8 fine men of the Daming Mansion were a joke. Look at who they were. Bai Junsheng, Zhu Hongliang. They were just a bunch of second-generation grandsons. There were many second-generation heirs, but the second-generation heirs of the Daming Mansion were looked down upon the most. Suyu snorted coldly. His face was full of dissatisfaction as he looked around. When he saw some of the foreign tribes, his expression immediately changed. He said coldly, so what if they're from the Bai family? Also, a bunch of trash. When they saw the foreign tribes here, no one dared to kill them. If my cousin was here, he would kill them one by one. Someone said unhappily, Bai Junsheng, these are all students from the Great Xia Civilization Academy. Some of them are even on the same side as your cousin. Your cousin killed them one by one. Didn't you see him kill these guys? What bragging! Some of the outsiders sneered, some looked down on them, and some were overflowing with killing intent. Many people secretly inquired about Bai Junsheng. Very quickly, they found out who Bai Junsheng was. Bai Feng's cousin. His identity was true. The Bai family was nothing, but the Bai family had some involvement with Bai Feng and the multi-god literature department, so it was not ordinary. They sneered, and Suyu even sneered. Sooner or later, they would all be beaten to death. If I, Suyu, say that I'm number 1, who dares to say that I'm number 2? Just wait. Of course, enough is enough. Now, it's almost enough. I'll see if I can attract some people to kill me, and then lure out the heaven hunting pavilion. I'll use Xian Jiu's identity to do something. Bai Junsheng could be considered Xian Jiu's first customer. Su Yu secretly calculated in his heart. Perhaps, he could give himself a talent hunting list and then give out a mission. Then, he could lure out the heaven hunting pavilion and let the heaven hunting pavilion stir up trouble in the great Xia mansion. In this way, even if he knew that it was related to Bai Junsheng, his attention would not be on Bai Junsheng but on the heaven hunting pavilion. The heaven hunting pavilion wanted to expand its market, so how could it not make a big move? Taking advantage of the fact that everyone else was lying low, he would make the name of the heaven hunting pavilion in the great Xia manor. Once he made a name for himself, perhaps he would soon become the core strength of the heaven hunting pavilion. Also, he did want to go to the great Xia manor to look for Bai Feng and Hong Tan. This time, he wanted to ask what exactly the polytheistic literature department wanted to do and see if he could do something about it. At the very least, he was stronger than Hong Tan, right? Grandmaster's strength was average, yet he still wanted to show off. In the city, following Su Yu's words, everyone knew that someone from the great Ming Manors by family had come. A little fellow who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The words he said made people laugh their teeth off. His family. The southern origin historical remains, his family's. How ridiculous. Meanwhile, Su Yu ignored them and directly pulled old Qi and said, "Come, accompany me to Su Yu's house to take a look. I heard that the historical remains are right outside Su Yu's house. I'll go take a look. This is my family's historical remains." Old Qi was speechless. "Brother Bai, you. Really?" There was nothing to say. Su Yu said disapprovingly, "What's wrong? Is Su Yu my brother's student? I heard that Su Yu might not be able to return. He's going to die on the battlefield of the heavens. Since that's the case, his things and his inheritance will naturally belong to my Bai family. Is there a problem with that?" Old Qi thought for a moment. There was no problem. It made sense. Of course, Su Yu's first successor was Su Long, and then, it would be his teacher, because Su Yu had no other relatives. Su Long was also on the heavenly battlefield now. If Bai Junsheng insisted on saying that, there was really nothing he could refute. Of course, no one would take it seriously. What you say is yours. Not to mention the Bai family, even if Su Yu was here, no one would say that the ruins were Su Yu's, so there was no need to argue. 10 minutes later. Below the Su family's building. This building was now empty. Because there would often be people coming here, experts would secretly come to investigate. Those with status and background would forcefully come to investigate. Those without status and background would also secretly come to investigate. After a few rounds, there were almost a few fights. On the previous night, the experts from both sides came to investigate. When they bumped into each other, they thought that they had encountered an enemy. They fought each other and almost destroyed the entire building. Fortunately, they knew that it was the great Xia manor, so they restrained themselves a little and injured a few residents. However, no one died. Even so, there was no way to stay in this place. Even mountains and seas, sun and moon, came to investigate. If this continued, any random fight could cause the residents of this neighborhood to be killed. Su Yu's house had been completely vacated, and the rest of the people in the neighborhood had also moved out under the arrangements of the great Xia manor. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1985. 1985 Chapter 440 I want to open a bill, LRB thanks in the pot of 20 million, free. This community, now very desolate. In the past, when you enter the door, you can see old people and children playing in the garden, but now you cannot see. Desolate community. Some dilapidated buildings. Su Yu did not say anything. This house is considered to be ruined. Even if the father came back, this house cannot live. The whole building, now a little slanted. This was probably caused by a fight between powerhouses. Even if it did not fall down, it was considered to be of good quality. In the corridor, there were many sundries that were left behind by some residents who had moved. The few dragon martial guards guarding downstairs saw Su Yu. One of Ling Yun said coldly, "You want to enter the house? If you enter, you will bear the consequences." There are quite a number of people who have investigated Su Yu's house. This house has a curse. Dozens of people have died. Are you sure you want to enter? Su Yu was confused. Was this for real? He had only killed 2 people, how could there be dozens of them? He turned his head to look at old Qi, who nodded, "It's true. It's a little strange. Of course, some people say that it wasn't a curse but Qin Yong's doing. Brother Bai, if it really was that person, he probably wouldn't have killed you. I'm in trouble. Otherwise, I won't go in." "Who?" Su Yu was surprised. Old Qi explained, "It said that it's Qin Yong." "You know Qin Yong?" After the public trial last time, a few invincible experts allowed him to return to the Great Xia Manor within half a year. This explains everything. It's already October now. It's already 4 months. If he doesn't appear in another 2 months, he'll be a human realm traitor. Speaking up to this point, Old Qi added, "It said that some people have died recently. They were all killed by him. Uncle Master killed again." Su Yu did not pay much attention to the news of the human realm. Of course, Bai Junsheng was not someone who paid attention to such news. He did not think much of it and just nodded, "That counts as my senior brother." Who said that he was a traitor? If it was really my senior brother who killed him, then so be it. This counts as the property of the Bai and Qin families. Other people came uninvited to steal. Killing bandits is reasonable. He had a calm expression. "That was my senior brother." Old Qi really wanted to say, "You're not Bai Feng, you're his cousin. You're so shameless, anyone can get close to you." The dragon martial guards were also a little surprised. Someone from the Bai family? Yes. Researcher Bai Feng's good-for-nothing younger brother. Bai Junsheng, who's known as one of the 8 beauties of the capital. Su Yu said with a dark expression, "Do all the dragon martial guards talk like that now? Believe it or not, I'll get my cousin to teach all of you a lesson. My cousin has a good relationship with the Xia family. My half-student, Su Yu, has a close relationship with His Highness Xia Huyo of the Great Xia family." The few dragon martial guards were speechless. Ling Yun also said in a speechless manner, "All right, go up. The people of the Bai family, be careful. I'm warning you, there are really many people who have died. Of course, regardless of whether it was Elder Chen who did it. We don't think it's him. Don't make wild guesses. In case someone catches hold of something, especially you, Bai Junsheng. Don't talk nonsense outside." Elder Chen was a member of the Great Xia family. He was one of them. Bai Junsheng was half of it. It was fine if outsiders said it, but the people of the Bai family shouldn't talk nonsense outside. In fact, they were also inclined to think that it was Qin Yong who did it. Recently, the human realm had been very chaotic, and many people had died. Many of them had been found to have some enmity with the multi-god literature department. Needless to say, it was most likely Qin Yong who killed them. Su Yu said casually, "I know. Can I cause trouble for my brother? Cause trouble for my senior brother? You've already caused trouble." The group of people were helpless. The Bai family members could not be violent. Otherwise, they would definitely give him a slap to wake him up. Su Yu did not waste any more words and went upstairs alone. The door of the room was broken, and it was becoming more and more desolate. It was dirty, and some places were already moldy. The sofa was also rotten, and the table had some holes. The bed was lifted up, and the pots and pans were thrown everywhere. The bowls were broken, and the chopsticks fell. This was Su Yu's home. The last time he came here, it was not so messy. It had only been a few months, and it was getting more and more shabby. The windows were all broken. This time, Su Yu was much calmer than the last time. He was much calmer. If it was gone, so be it. Everything in his memories had long been different. This place had left behind his youthful self, his hot-blooded self, and those things disappear with this house. There was no more hot-blooded, no more illusions. After looking around, Su Yu smiled. Where did the ruins come from? My home, how could I not know? As he thought, a moment later, he revealed a doubtful expression. The aura of death on his body was slightly affected. It was very weak. If not for the aura of death on his body, Su Yu would not have noticed it. After carefully experiencing it again, Su Yu's eyes moved slightly. Heavenly Yuan Qi. Strange, there was heavenly Yuan Qi in the room. It was very weak. Under normal circumstances, he definitely would not have been able to sense it. Su Yu was considered to be very sharp, but he did not even notice it. It was only because the aura of death was fluctuating that he was able to sense it and feel the presence of heavenly Yuan Qi. Heavenly Yuan Qi. Last time, he gave Lord Xia Ho an idea. If he wanted to forge a relic, Heaven Yuan Qi was the most suitable. Could it be that the plan had been activated? In reality, a fake relic had already been set up here. Su Yu's heart stirred slightly. If that was the case, then the chaos that represented the Great Xia Manor would arrive soon. They had already set up some Heaven Yuan Qi here. Su Yu thought as he remained calm. If he could not sense this place, the sun and moon would definitely not be able to sense it. Perhaps the top-tier sun and moon could sense it because the heavenly Yuan Qi was too weak. It was so weak that Su Yu could only sense it through the aura of death. He did not know where he had set up the trap. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1986. 1986 Chapter 440, I'm going to write a bill, LRB thanks to the 20 million reward from the boss of the sun and moon in the pot, 4. Interesting. Su Yu smiled and walked out of the house. Downstairs, Old Qi shouted, did you find anything? Su Yu smiled and said, of course, this place is the entrance to the ruins. Su Yu told my cousin, and my brother told me, so it must be true. The Dragon Martial Guard powerhouse said coldly, by Junsheng, don't talk nonsense. At this moment, there were quite a number of people staring at this side. Su Yu said disapprovingly, who's talking nonsense? Su Yu told my cousin. It's true. If you don't believe it, forget it. He said that the entrance to the ruins is at his house. It's a very powerful ruins, countless amounts of Heaven Yuan Qi, countless treasures. Humph. The Dragon Martial Guard snorted. This fellow from the Bai family was really annoying. At this moment, someone in the neighborhood suddenly laughed and said, Brother Bai, are you serious? Su Yu looked up and saw a group of young men and women walking over. Among them was someone he was familiar with. He had seen them the last time he was here and met that Zhou Hongba from Questing Academy. He was still alive. Su Yu had wanted to kill him the last time, but he hadn't found an opportunity and had chosen to leave. After that, he had forgotten about this fellow. And now, he had met him again. It wasn't just him. It seemed that Zhou Hongba's status in this place wasn't too high. There were also some men and women. Seeing these people, Old Qi tugged at his clothes and transmitted his voice, stop spouting nonsense. They are all the descendants of some big shots, as well as some top-notch geniuses from various big manors. Su Yu revealed a strange expression and looked at them. He snorted and said, why do you care if what I say is true or not? Can't I just say it casually? By Junsheng, don't be impudent. Someone shouted coldly, do you know who you're talking to? Suyu sneered and said, "What's wrong? Can't I? Beat me to death. I now know that in the entire human realm, only our Darming King is in charge. Why don't you all try provoking me? Although my Daming Mansion doesn't like to cause trouble, we aren't afraid of trouble either. My Bai family has worked for the Daming Mansion for generations. My relationship with Zhu Hongliang is so good that we're on the same page. I beat Zhu Hongliang up, went to the city lord's mansion, and called him Grandpa Zhu. Mansion Master Zhu won't punish me either. Am I afraid of you?" When these words were said, many people had strange looks in their eyes. Damn it! Even the Daming Manor was like this. Their mouths were really smelly. The most important thing was that they weren't afraid of you. If you provoked him, he wouldn't be able to beat you, but he would call you the head of the family. Indeed, right now, the Daming King was in charge. Would the Daming King appear for Bai Junsheng? It was impossible for him to be invincible, but the Daming King, it was hard to say. If the Bai family really went to the Daming King's side, perhaps the Daming King would really appear. This time, this group of men and women were also extremely disgusting. It wasn't like this. Fortunately, the Daming King wasn't your grandfather. Otherwise, wouldn't you be like the Zhu family? They would call the Daming King over at any time. Suyu had a smug look on his face. Don't scare me with invincibility. Don't scare me with the sun and moon. I'm not afraid of being scared. Not only that, I'm telling you guys, I still have a trump card. Speaking up to this point, he coughed dryly. It seemed like he had let something slip and quickly pulled Old Chi away. The others looked suspicious. What did he mean? What trump card? At the same time, Old Chi asked curiously, Brother Bai, what other trump cards do you have? If you have nothing better to do, don't provoke those guys. What are you afraid of? Do you know about the Heaven Hunting Pavilion? Of course. I just heard about it. You don't know. Before you came, a guy from the Heaven Hunting Pavilion appeared. His name is Xianjiu. He's extremely powerful. He's a Sun Moon expert. He fought with the commander of the Dragon Martial Guard Secret Guard. In the end, he didn't lose out. Old Chi said for a while and sighed, more and more experts are gathering in the Great Xia Mansion. I heard that the Heaven Hunting Pavilion is also a big force in the heavenly battlefield. They even have several invincible experts. I didn't expect that they would also come to the human realm this time. Suyu said proudly, you don't have to say it. Did you know? The Heaven Hunting Pavilion will give some geniuses and experts. Some of them are on the Heaven Hunting talent list. They can make any request at any time. As long as they give money, they will do anything. I know that, but I heard that it's only given to some top-tier geniuses, such as those on the Heaven Hunting list, and some mountain and sea sun and moon experts. It has nothing to do with us. TCH, I'm also a genius. Suyu had a proud look on his face. I'm one of the 8 handsome men of the capital of heaven. You know that I've soared into the sky at such a young age. When he said this, Old Chi was surprised. As if he had thought of something, he sent a voice transmission, you mean? Don't spread it, don't talk nonsense. It's not a crime to hold the ranking board, and it's not a crime to collude with the myriad clans. We human realm geniuses also have this thing in the heavenly battlefield. It's fine. Old Chi finally understood. He was extremely shocked. Bai Junsheng had gotten the Heaven Hunting talent list. No wonder he was so arrogant. He felt that he could rely on the Heaven Hunting Pavilion to fight with those people. Heaven Hunting talent list. Did you really get it? Hee hee. Suyu chuckled and did not say anything. He raised his eyebrows and had a smug look on his face. I got it. So many. Only Bai Mian had some of the Heaven Hunting talent list. On Suyu's side, he had 100, and the other 3 Bai Mian each had 30, a total of 190. In other words, while Su Yu was in the Great Xia Manor, he could communicate with 100 clients. This information could reach him directly. Of course, the other 3 by Mian had some power, but they still had to listen to Su Yu. Old Qi was a little envious. He heard that this was for top-tier experts and geniuses, but Bai Junqing actually got it. Everyone knew a little about the Heaven Hunting Pavilion, but it was indeed not on the Myriad clan cult. Of course, this force wasn't a good person, and everyone knew that. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1987. 1987 Chapter 440, I'm going to open the bill, LRB thanks to the 20 million reward from the big shot Sun and Moon in the pot, 5. In any case, colluding was not considered a crime. After all, this faction could buy many good things that you could not buy. At this moment, Old Qi finally knew where Bai Junqing's confidence came from. Do you have money? Old Qi suddenly asked. I heard that this faction only recognizes money. Su Yu smiled and said, it's fine. They gave me face. My cousin is a famous figure. Old Qi was speechless. You used to clamor and trample your cousin under your feet. Now, you just want to do whatever your cousin does. Enough. As the two of them were talking, a middle-aged man beside the group of people said telepathically, don't bother with this Bai Junqing. This guy seems to have gotten the Heaven Hunting talent list. Be careful of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion only cared about money and not people. They also did the work of assassins. No matter if you were an invincible descendant or not, you only cared about money. Strictly speaking, you were even more daring and dangerous than the Myriad clan sect. Most of the Myriad clan sect were cowardly fellows. The Heaven Hunting Pavilion was actually not afraid of death, and many of them were geniuses. Heaven Hunting Pavilion? Some people were deep in thought. The big forces had some understanding of the Heaven Hunting Pavilion. Some people sighed, the Heaven, Earth, Black, and Yellow lists. Not many humans made it onto the list. Almost everyone on the Heaven list can kill someone of a higher realm. Previously, Su Yu of the human race reached the top and killed someone at the 4th level of the Sun and Moon realm. That was because he exploded Yi Baishan's divine text. And he even obtained the inheritance of the relic. Otherwise, where would Su Yu go to kill the Sun and Moon? The relic is an extremely powerful relic. I wonder how many benefits that guy obtained. Some people were jealous, some were envious, and some didn't say anything. They looked at Su Yu's house in front of them even more fervently. Perhaps the relic was nearby. Su Yu had obtained some superficial inheritances and was already so powerful. If they had obtained the ruins, wouldn't they be much better than Su Yu? The invincible inheritance wasn't a sin. Su Yu had been surrounded and killed because he was a member of the multi-god literature department. If the others had obtained it and had an invincible Tao protector behind them, perhaps they would be able to walk on the path to the Tao. Many people had such thoughts. It was very normal. Give me the ruins, give me a large amount of resources, give me everything, I can do it too. As for how Su Yu obtained the resources and how he cheated them, they did not take it seriously. The gods and devils were too stupid, they were actually deceived by Su Yu. They were really stupid. They heard that Su Yu used modern corpses as ancient corpses to deceive them and cheated them of countless treasures. Since the gods and devils were so stupid, there was nothing to be afraid of. The experts would feel that Su Yu's deception was very powerful. These people only felt that all the races were stupid and were too easily deceived. As for how much effort and preparation Su Yu had put in, they would not think about it. What they heard was that in that instant, Su Yu made a fake corpse and deceived the Celestials. Bai Junqing, Heaven Hunting Talent List, by Feng. At this moment, some people also had ideas and thoughts. Bai Junqing, this idiot, could get the Heaven Hunting Talent List. Were the experts of the heaven hunting pavilion blind? As for how Sun and Moon knew about it, of course, Bai Junxing flew up and wanted to hide from Sun and Moon's prying eyes. Su Yu, who had already left, smiled slightly. Perhaps, the heaven hunting pavilion's business was about to start. A few fellows, come and kill me, they have designs on me. Those who killed Bai Junxing were not good people. This was inevitable. At this moment, whether it was killing Bai Junxing or kidnapping him, there was a high probability that it was all aimed at Bai Feng. Since that was the case, it was best to finish them all in one go and give his business a good start. He also wanted to give the entire heaven hunting pavilion's human realm branch the first order. He wanted to show those elders his ability. Of course, if he were to become an elder, he would have to be directly supervised by the head of the Xian department. He would have to think twice about this. If he was directly supervised, then his information would be known by the other party. Just as Su Yu was stirring up trouble. Great Xia Civilization Academy. In the Multi-God Literature Academy, Bai Feng, who had been greatly stimulated, was about to step into Ling Yun. At this moment, his voice transmission talisman vibrated. A moment later, Bai Feng cursed, F***CK. Bai Junxing, you idiot. I've already made a clean break with you, but you still dare to come to the Great Xia Mansion and stir up trouble in the Southern Yuan dynasty. Bai Feng was about to explode. Idiot. The Bai family's surname doesn't mean that I'm an idiot. This idiot actually wants to come to the Great Xia Mansion city. Bai Feng really wanted to go crazy. Do you know how many people are staring at me right now? Do you know that if you come now, it's very easy to implicate the entire Bai family? Bai Fengzhen is infuriated by this idiot cousin of his. He gritted his teeth. It's fine if you come secretly. Or rather, someone will protect you. Now that you've come alone, Nan Yuan is still very far from the Great Xia Prefecture. On this journey, there will definitely be someone who will make a move against you. You idiot, you're too infuriating. He quickly got up and walked out of the closed-door cultivation ground. No, even though this idiot was an idiot, he couldn't just watch as he was killed or kidnapped. He had to think of a way to get him to scram immediately, or he could just stay in Nanyuan. P.S. Super thanks to the pot of Sun and Moon, 20 million reward from the Universe Master in the sleeve. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1988. 1988 Chapter 441 Lao Bai, Long Time No See. 1. In Nanyuan City, Suyu was arrogant, but he didn't plan to stay for long. In any case, he didn't believe that Nanyuan had any relics. If there were, it was prepared by the Xia family, not the real thing. What was the use of staying here? Go to the Great Xia Manor, look for the teacher, look for the Grandmaster. If possible, he might be able to chat with Lao Wan. Suyu really couldn't see through this person. He had been pretending to be the peak of the mountain and sea realm for many years, and recently, he heard that he was in closed-door cultivation, in order to break through to the Sun and Moon realm. Whoever believed him would be an idiot. Suyu didn't know exactly how powerful the 10,000 heavenly saints was. However, whether it was Lord Xia or Hong Tan, these people, including Niu Baidao, all had the same attitude when they mentioned the 10,000 heavenly saints. In Su Yu's eyes, these people were all heaven's chosen. They worshipped the 10,000 heavenly saints so much. Was it true that the 10,000 heavenly saints hadn't broken through to the Sun and Moon realm in 50 years? This time, he wanted to go to the Great Xia Manor to find out more. Near the city gates. Suyu wanted to leave, but Old Chi couldn't help but ask, "Are you really going now?" "Of course." Old Chi transmitted his voice, "I know that you rely on the heaven hunting talent list, but what if the other party doesn't come? I heard from people at the heaven hunting pavilion that they didn't seem to have much power in the human realm before. This time, they just came." On the Great Xia Manor's side, the dragon martial guards seemed to be tracking them as well. Are you sure they can come? Do you have the money to call for them? How long will it take for them to come? Aren't you afraid of losing your life? Suyu thought for a moment and nodded, that makes sense. Why don't you give me a ride, Old Chi? Old Chi looked up at the sky. Don't dream about it. I have just flown up not too long ago. If you want me to give you a ride, I won't do it even if you beat me to death. At the city gate, the dragon martial guard who had asked Suyu to quickly enter the city saw that Suyu and Old Chi were chattering. Seeing that they seemed to want to leave the city, he also knew some things. The dragon martial guard said in a bad mood, "Bai Junsheng, don't run around. Why don't we wait for your Bai family to bring you back to Daming Manor, or wait for researcher Bai to send someone to bring you back to the Great Xia Manor?" When he came, Bai Junsheng did not make any movements, and no one paid him any attention. Now, this guy had been foolishly arrogant here for a while. Everyone knew that Bai Feng's cousin had come. Did you really think that you were safe? Suyu smiled, "It's fine, I have plans. I'm just fishing on purpose to attract some guys with bad intentions. I'm not stupid." Suyu said loudly, "I have confidence. Whoever dares to cause trouble, I'll make sure they die a horrible death." His voice was still not soft. Confidence? What confidence? Daming Manor? The dragon martial guards were speechless. "Fine, since you want to die, I can't be bothered with you." Suyu laughed out loud. Very quickly, he said, "I'm leaving the city. I'm going to the Great Xia Prefecture to look for my cousin. Those who aren't afraid of death will come and find trouble with me." He was as arrogant as ever, with some confidence. After saying that, he smiled at Old Chi and left on his Earth Dragon Beast. After he left, Old Chi scolded, "That's my Earth Dragon Beast." This time, Bai Junsheng was a little arrogant. He even took his own Earth Dragon Beast. He was truly inhuman. Was the talent hunting list really useful? He wasn't sure. At the same time, in the city lord's mansion, the dragon martial guards looked at each other and looked at the old man in the middle. He was the commander who was guarding this place, a Sun-Moon realm expert. "Commander, what should we do? Bai Junsheng is Bai Feng's younger cousin. If he leaves now, won't something happen to him?" The commander looked into the distance and frowned slightly. After a long while, he said, "Send a few people to follow him in secret. Intimidate the others, just in case. This second-generation ancestor of the Bai family doesn't know the dangers of the human world. He's acting recklessly. Did he really think that no one would dare to deal with him? What was he thinking? Your brother and Hong Tan were now a thorn in everyone's side. However, they had been staying in the prefecture capital all this time, which was why nothing happened. Your Bai family also didn't make a move against the Bai family because they were in the heavenly capital prefecture of the Daming prefecture. It was rumored that Bai Feng was the founder of the divine literature battle technique splitting method. Now, he was quite famous. Hong Tan only had 2 disciples, and his eldest disciple had gone missing. Or rather, he didn't dare to return. His second disciple, Bai Feng, was his only hope. If he captured Bai Junsheng and threatened Bai Feng, he might be able to obtain the divine literature battle technique in advance. There weren't just 1 or 2 people who had designs on this technique. The 10,000 clans wanted it, but the various manors also wanted it. The hidden multi-divine literature department needed it, and even the non-multi-divine literature department needed it. Don't let an unremarkable Bai Junsheng cause any accidents in the multi-divine literature academy. A few experts of the dragon martial guards quickly followed. At the same time, in a courtyard in the city, someone said in a low voice, "Bai Junsheng has left. That guy is really confident. He probably got the heaven hunting talent list, but that idiot didn't even think about it. Today, the heaven hunting pavilion has just entered the human realm. Today, It seems that a large number of people from the heaven hunting pavilion have entered. All the major manors are pursuing them. Now, the heaven hunting pavilion dares to make a move. Xianjiu has appeared in the Great Xia mansion. It's hard to say if he'll survive. Calm down and don't act rashly. The body of 1,000 gold won't sit still in the hall. I know. Leak the news to the Myriad Clan Church and wait for the result. The Xia clan probably won't watch Bai Junsheng get captured. Soon, the courtyard returned to silence, and the sky gradually darkened. Bai Junsheng's arrival stirred up some waves. However, most people did not choose to follow him. The southern origin was more important. Moreover, they did not need to make a move. Perhaps, someone would test the situation for them. If they could really take him down, someone would naturally make a move. There was no rule that all forces had to remain in the southern origin.